Listen to my story.
It all begins here.
No, this is a one-time gig.
All right. Well, welcome to another episode of a Super Frank podcast. And I'm your host, Super Sanctus. Again with me,
Frankie.
Another host. Awesome. Today we got a really, really big story-heavy episode for you.
Yeah, big amount of story comes in here. A big story dump.
Yeah. Learned some pretty great things in this one.
Pretty much the big just... You figure out the story now.
Yeah.
You know, you really know where the game's going.
Mm-hmm. It's that big turning point.
Yes.
In the story, which every Final Fantasy seems to have, where you think the story's going one way and we're gonna take a 180 now and it's gonna go a completely different way. So, okay. Well, probably should start by what we ended with last time.
It's been a little while, ended right.
To recap here, we ended with just fighting ourselves as Ifrit.
Yeah, Phoenix Gate, right?
Yes. Yeah, and got the limit break powers.
Yep.
With also a couple new abilities as Ifrit. And we were headed back to the hideaway.
Yes.
To talk with Sid.
So, yeah. There was, after Eastpool.
Eastpool, yes.
The whole slaughter there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that kind of had you change your mind.
That's right. And met up with Gav.
Yep.
And saw that. And Jill and Clive decided we are going to join Sid in his... I don't know what you call it, war for the bearers, I suppose.
Quest, to save bearers, right? Yeah,
whatever. Basically said they're on Sid's side. This needs to change. So that's where we begin this one. We are at the hideaway, and I believe you can go talk to some other people. I don't think there's really a second. I think pretty much just go straight forward to talking to Sid.
That's where, I forgot too if there was like a side quest or two to do. I think you just kind of...
I'm pretty sure you have to go straight to him.
I think you just,
side
restock.
After the
you might, just get a couple items, weapon or new weapon or whatever, but you pretty much, just go straight to Sid in his solar.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
They say solar.
This place is getting more crowded by the day.
So he walks in, he's kind of just saying like, oh, the place is kind of busy, which, I don't know, I thought was a little funny because he seems like a little cheery. And after just what he's learned and just gone through, and there was just all those people dead because of his mom, he kind of comes in, he's like a little like, hey, this place is busy. And it's like, what? It seems
a little odd.
Yeah, it seems a little like out of place.
So, did you find the answers you were looking for?
I still don't know what to make of this gift, curse, or whatever it is I've been given. But there is one thing I can say for certain. I am a dominant. Ifrit. And there is nothing I can do to change that. It is a burden I must bear until my dying day. Sid, you once told me that you wanted to build a place where people could die on their own terms.
I did.
I've been thinking about that. Why not a place where people can live on their own terms?
Clive was the one who starts that conversation, and emphasis on the live on their own terms, and was saying that he spent 15 years and all he knew was killing.
Yes.
And death, and saw people living basically meaningless lives just waiting to die. And so he's basically thinking, after Phoenix Gate and after Eastpool made him think that there should be something more to life than death.
And I think a couple of things play a part into it, like the fact of, so right before Phoenix Gate, you're in Eastpool, and if you remember that old guy's like, basically, like, these are your bearers. Like, they all serve you. And then you're coming back to Eastpool like, hey, we should, get these people to, like, a safe place. And then they all die. And then it's like you find out it was your mother, and Clive's mom, who like ordered it. So it's like, I feel like all of that plays a part into like they should have had a chance to just live. And he's like, that's when he's really like, yes, all I've done is just kill people for how many years now? Like, I've kind of done that maybe.
Yeah.
So then he's like, that's where, like, yeah, this has to be, like, fixed.
Yes.
Oh, also, too, yeah, I think, then he kind of goes on to say, like, Sid says something like, did you find, like, your answers? Or whatever.
So he says, so atonement, is it?
Yeah.
I think
And that's where he
and then Jill, this is where Jill kind of, like, steps forward and grabs Clive's hand.
Yeah.
And they both kind of step forward, and they're like, that's what we found at Phoenix Gate.
Yeah, I feel like how they kind of put it is like, yeah, like, now you kind of put it, like, we both done bad, so now, like, this is our way, yes, to, like, atone is helping the bearers in this cause.
Yes.
So then they're kind of like, yes, we're all in.
Yeah. And then Sid is like, all right, well, so here's the whole story. So actually, though, this is where we're going to jump a little bit. This is actually
Mix
where
it up a bit, yeah.
A scene that we ended with last time, the whole Sandbrook Council talking.
That's
that
right.
scene actually breaks up this scene, but we talked about it last time. Thought it was a little bit more appropriate. So then you kind of phase out, do that, then you come back in.
I must have misheard. You mean to tell me that the mother crystals are the reason the world is dying? Are you mad?
I have been called that on occasion, but no, not today.
And
Jump to
Sid
that
apparently
scene,
now
yeah.
has explained a couple of things, and we come back and it's Clive, like, slamming him. He's like, I believe I heard you wrong. You're telling me that the mother crystals are the ones that are what's
Yeah, he's like,
destroying the
he's like, are you
planet?
crazy? And he's like, yeah, but, like,
Yeah.
not right now.
No, yeah, crazy, but not about this. Yeah, and goes on to explain. Sid, I should say, goes on to explain that he spent years trying to figure out, like, what was causing the blight,
Like,
and what.
the blight, yes, is there's no ether in the land.
Yeah.
Where is that going? Mm-hmm. So he spent years trying to figure that out and came to an idea
Yeah,
that it was the mother crystals.
right.
That's draining the land, basically.
Yeah, basically the reactors in 7.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
it turns out the mother crystals are kind of a reactor sucking the life force.
draining the life energy out of the planet. Yes.
planet.
We're like, oh, okay.
And he came to the conclusion, though, they're like, you're crazy. How do you know this? And he's like, grabs one of the crystals and he goes, how does this thing work? And they're like, by grabbing the ether from ambient ether around it,
Yeah.
and it conjures that up into, using the magics, if
Yeah.
you will. And then he goes, so where do we get these crystals? And then Gav comes in.
Gav
That's
comes in, right.
easy. From the mother crystals, of course. And so you're like, oh, well, that would make
Just
sense. And then it's kind of clicked.
Think
with
of it
Jill
of
and
like a
Clive.
bigger scale of like, okay, yeah, little shard you hold in your hand isn't too much, but like, I think Jill even says like some are the size of mountains.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would make sense then if it's drawing
Yeah.
ether that it could
It's
just
like a mountainous range of ether being drawn from the planet. Yeah, of course, around
then-
it's going to start dying off.
yes, it's like okay. And then I think even Sid does say he's like, but for like what or like exactly, like where it's going, like the crystals are doing it,
Yeah.
but he kind of is like I don't know exactly
where
what
the
or
ether is going. Yeah.
Yeah.
What they're absorbing the ether for.
like we don't know
Just know that it's being absorbed and it's killing the planet
Mm-hmm.
to a point where it's unlivable. Everything dies around it.
Right. And then Clive kind of interjects and is like, everything has said that like the crystals are like a blessing from like the gods,
gods,
basically. Wars for centuries have been fought over the blessing of this. And you're telling me it's not a blessing, it's killing the planet.
Yeah.
So it's like that's
It's like everything I have known my entire life is a lie.
yep.
Is what you're telling me right now. And
Right.
he's like, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about this just a little bit ago about how it's kind of a quick line or two here, but I think it's a way bigger impact of, again, think of Clive's whole history of, he's the shield of Rosaria to protect Joshua, who's the dominant, who's going to be the king, all because of the crystal and the blessing, and it chose him, blah, 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 blah. His whole thing, his whole destiny is because of, like, the crystal. It's like his whole life unfolding tragically was because of the crystals, people fighting over the blessing of it.
Trying to.
So now
Protect it.
again you're telling Sid is telling him, like, that's just all BS. Your whole life and destiny is just, like, been like this for, like, a wrong reason.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really this earth-shattering thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of just like, oh, yeah.
It was almost like, this isn't what we were thinking we were signing up for type thing.
I think they kind of say
Right.
that, too. I think Clive or Jill is like, so what, we're just giving up on bears. And Sid basically says, not much point in saving them if the world is dead.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah. They're like,
fair enough.
Fair point.
Like, yeah.
Then Jill, I think, is the one who says it too, and she's also like, okay, well, if that's how it is, how is it that this has gone unnoticed for so long?
For these centuries,
And
yeah.
Sid goes, who says it hasn't?
Yeah.
And who says that the higher-ups, or perhaps gods...
Inconvenient to whom, exactly?
The higher-ups? The gods themselves?
Who says that the people in power didn't know?
Yep.
And it was just an inconvenience. And she's like, inconvenience for
Like,
who?
who? Yeah.
Who would it be? And just like, yeah, for the higher ups or gods, perhaps.
Like, whoever it is, yeah. Like,
And gods, wink, wink, wink.
Yeah,
like,
right.
so kind of like, you might as well say.
yeah, right.
But it is one of those, like, he kind of throws it out there, and we haven't really talked much about gods and stuff. So you're like, huh. Wonder
Higher
what
just
that
plan is. Like,
what are you getting at, Sid?
It's-
Like, do you know something?
right, yeah. You start to kind of wonder how
seems
much
like
Sid
Sid-
knows here.
Yeah, Sid, like, how does he know this? Where is he getting this info? Yeah. Start to question a little bit, too. This is where I started to wonder, like, what is Sid's background? Where does he come? Like, you know that he worked with Benedicta at this point.
Right, you know,
he's worked with Barnabas, so you kind of can put pieces together. They haven't really spelled it out for you, but you kind of put pieces together that he's probably from aloooot.
Right, there was a
Right?
quick description of where exactly he came from, and then he comes to, like, aloooot.
Might have been in his description in the lore,
Yeah.
active lore. I can't remember if I read
Forget
it.
all of that. There's a lot.
Yeah, and then I forget, like, reading later things, but I think by this point you might be able to gather that, but it still varies, like, what is Sid's background?
And then,
And,
yeah, like,
what is this coming from, and why is this coming up
we talked
now?
a little bit about then, so, like, we knew his past a little bit of, like, with Waloed, and he was, like, the general, but he does leave, so kind of when and how and why, and then starting this whole bear thing,
Yeah.
and then we talked a little bit about how his thing is about just dying, you know, finding a good place to die, basically,
Yeah.
and now how Clive just was like, what about living?
Yeah. So
So we'll come to that in a little bit.
Remember that. By the end of this episode, it's going to come full circle a little bit here.
There's also one thing I have in my notes here. So right before this scene kind of cuts away to the people in Sambrek that we covered in the last episode, Sid has a line. He goes, he's like, oh, with a little fire and ice, my plan might work.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, like, we're going to pay a visit to Mother. So a couple things there. One, fire and ice.
Yeah,
Seems
yeah.
a little nod to Game of Thrones.
Yeah. At
Isn't
first, that was
literally-
like,
it's actually like what the books are called or
yeah,
something,
a
right?
Song of Fire and Ice is what
And
they're
then the
called, yeah.
show is Game of Thrones, so it's a
Right,
little like
right.
Fire and Ice. But
Or it might be Fire and Ice might be the prequel
that might be the
books or
prequel one,
something.
yeah.
But yeah, pretty much like.
But then it's
I was like, oh well, you might as well just be saying this is Game of Thrones. And then I went,
literally
wait,
like,
no, literally they're Fire and Ice.
but it is Shiva and Ifrit, so it's like,
Yeah, I
oh,
was like-
that was a pretty good line.
That was- yeah.
I was like, I feel like that's almost as close to being like, who's like, if they literally like said Game of Thrones, like, who's gonna win this Game of Thrones?
Right,
and you're
right.
like,
Yeah, they might as well.
come on,
Yeah.
like they almost could have done that. But then
Which they do that in Tactics, but
They do. Tactics said it first. I do. We'll say it here.
Yeah.
Tactics did say
yeah.
Game of Thrones.
before Game of
I
Thrones.
think even the
was
books
written.
probably.
Yeah,
like,
I
this
think I
is
looked
in
it up. I'm pretty
90s.
sure- yeah, I'm pretty sure it was possibly before the books were written. I guess it could be wrong. I don't know.
But
anyhow,
anyhow,
sidetrack.
back to here. He says we're gonna pay a visit to Mother, and I took that first as Clive's mom. Like, hey, what are we going to do right now? Because at this point, you're still thinking. So this is right before he explains the whole crystal thing. So at this
Oh,
point,
that's
you're
right,
still
yeah.
thinking, we're freeing bears. That's our job. That's our mission. And he's like, we're gonna go pay a visit to Mother. So you're thinking Annabella, Clive's
Yeah.
mom, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, this time, this
Yeah.
this bitch needs to get what's coming to her. It's a time. It's like, cool. Then you come back to the scene, and he starts talking about the crystals and how we need to destroy them to save the world. And then you're kind of like, oh, I think when he said pay a visit to Mother, the Mother crystals.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you're like, we're still gonna mess her up, right?
But
like,
then you're also going to Mother because you're going to the capital where.
So it's like a little bit.
His mom.
Also, was just like, I thought it was a little interesting, that wording. I was like, a little nod to Seven? How they always say Mother?
Yeah, right.
Genova, and
Yeah,
there's just like
especially
weird.
Advent Children.
The Advent Children, yeah, they say, so I was like, no, is that a little.
Mother's not here.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You're
gonna cry.
Yeah. Cry.
Don't cry, Laz.
Not cry.
So it's like, I thought that was like a little nod there too. So a couple good lines, but.
Mother. Go talk to Karen, and then you end up talking with Gav, I think, and figuring out game plan and stuff. But he says they're going to send you to Northreach.
So you ended being like,
you go
yes,
to Northreach. Northreach is like gated off to get to Sanbreque, the capital, or take to Oriflamme, which is the capital of Sanbreque.
Because that's where you ended your conversation with Clive, Jill, and Sid. Is we're gonna go destroy Mother Crystal. We're gonna go to Oriflamme, but it's kind of like, how do we get there?
Yeah.
So then it's kind of like, go talk to everybody in the hideout to go kind of figure out how to do this. I think. So it's like you go talk to.
I think it was more so just gather supplies.
Just get ready, right?
Yeah, ready to go.
So so you go talk to like Karen. I think she even says a little bit of like, "Hey, something's going on in Oriflamme. Some people are moving around. There's a lot of movement. So go talk to what's his name, Otto. Go talk to him, and I think he just kind of explains like, there's somebody who can sneak you into the capital.
Right. Yeah, I have a friend in Northreach.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be expecting you. Yeah.
And he's like, who? Can you explain? And he's like, the Dame.
Yeah.
You're like, all right. Is that it? And he's like, oh, you'll know.
Yeah,
like,
you'll know.
All right. Okay, dude.
Another like Gav situation when you first were like trying to find Gav. It's like, I don't know who this guy is. When you find him, yell, and he's like, I don't know who I'm looking for.
Yeah, I still don't answer. Yeah, it's like I still don't
even know the guy's name.
The Dame, yeah.
You'll know when you find him. I did make a few notes here though. This before you leave, there are a couple side quests.
This is where the side quests.
And then I did make quick notes on them. One of them is you save Martha, so you go back and get a little bit more story with her.
Oh.
There's another one where you get a little bit more story with Quentin. If you remember, these are. You did small main story things with them, but now it's like you go back to those places and you can get more story.
That's what
it doesn't really further now main story much, but like just keeps giving you more backstory on these characters and the world around them. Then there is one though that mentions Sid having a daughter who is studying in Canver.
Real quick
line.
line.
Very small detail, but it's very important. Way later.
Yes.
Not this episode, a couple episodes down the road, but to know that, okay, Sid has a daughter, first off. Second off, that she's in Canver, which
that's another
you'll probably forget.
You absolutely do, right? Yeah.
I know I kind of forgot until I hit this replaying and was like, oh, that's right. I remember.
Do mention it
know
beforehand.
where Canver is, yeah. Like when you first go there, you're like.
Canver's in a place, you figure out like where that is
it's
later.
Way later, and by that point you kind of forgot about this detail. But put it in your head. Sid has a daughter who is studying in Canver.
Yep. I think I
that's
just have
pretty much
the
only thing main with these side quests.
I'll say I think I had just in my notes just kind of make sure to just go talk to everybody.
Yeah.
So even besides the side quests, just kind of run
it
around.
Gives you just tidbits of information.
Exactly. Yep. Just go make sure you kind of talk to everybody. Go to the hideaway.
Yeah. Then this is where I have now. Now it's talk to Gav to finalize your plan for Oriflamme.
Is this all of us?
Actually, Gav won't be coming.
Just the three of us, then.
Drake's Head is the keystone of the Empire. Oriflamme's in chaos, yes, but that doesn't mean we can march an army through her gates. The fewer our numbers, the better our chances of going unnoticed. And should that plan fail, well, we have our icons to fall back on.
Damn it, Gav.
Oh, again, yep.
Gav never comes a lot. Why is he not? I want this guy as a character now. I'm starting to like Gav. It's kind of funny. This is like running joke now that like, no, Gav never comes.
Yeah, no,
Gav's
we're sending
always
you on a different thing. Yeah.
But Sid explains and he goes, first off, we're sneaking into the capital of Sambrak, like probably the most guarded and dangerous place in the world at the point.
Yeah, right.
At this point, so can't really march in with an army. Second, it's gonna get hairy, and the three of us have our dominance to rely on if it does get hairy.
Right.
Gav doesn't.
Yep.
So
end of
then
the day, yep, they are dominance.
Yeah, it's gonna be really, really dangerous for Gav.
And it's kind of funny because Clive is like, I can't really control mine.
Yeah.
And then and then they all kind of go on this little like, oh, he's pretty, don't worry, you're pretty tough, dude. Like, they're like, you're a good swordsman, and oh, you got the power of the Phoenix, and oh, hey, you stole Garuda's power, and he's kind of like,
that's right.
He's like, oh, whatever, like.
Right. And so then, he also says to Gav, like, basically, if something does happen to us, we need somebody kind of back here.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like, I need my second-hand man back of the hideaway in case something does happen.
Right.
I think what he was kind of getting at as well. Then he says, Sid says, I'm going my own way to Northreach.
That's
we should travel separate, so we're not traveling in a group. So Jill and I are going to go. You our own whichever way.
Basically, you all split up
shortcut.
To get to Northreach just to like attract less attention, which, it's all right, and you're kind of like, oh, dang, you don't get like the full party yet.
Yeah. So then you're just Clive, and you head to now a world map kind of area.
Yeah.
One of those. Another.
I have in my
open
notes.
area.
I thought it would be like a little interesting. I feel like at this point it's kind of like, hey, this is where we're going, and it kind of just like you come to like to the world map, and I feel like if it wasn't so obvious, like, hey, this is the next point, like this is where you go. This would be like a part in the game where you could get a little lost. You'd be like, oh, like, yeah, I know we're heading to Sambrak or like Oriflame, but like, where was I supposed to go to get there?
Yeah, this definitely would have been the ones in the old days where it would have you would have walked out of the hideaway, and it would have been I have like access to almost the entire world map, and it would have been like, it's somewhere that way, and you'd be like,
oh,
running around for like an hour, but like, I don't know where this tiny place. Oh, it's some tiny little town in this corner.
Because you're kind of supposed to go to what's Quentin's place called? Stillwind. So
Stillwind. That's right. You go to Stillwind
there first, and then from there, because that's like the nearest. Way.
Yeah, and you go through there.
From there, you go through to reach Northreach. But that would be like, again, a thing. If this wasn't so just like, this is the next point, this is the next point.
Yeah.
You could like maybe skip that and like just get to like Northreach or something, you know what I mean?
That's true. Really... I forgot about it. I don't think you have a waypoint yet.
Exactly.
To that point.
Right, so that's why
it is
go,
kind
I
of
think,
like
to Stillwind.
Yeah, if they didn't have main story quests,
like
here's
markers,
where you are, markers.
I feel like you could get like a little lost.
Like, I don't want to go. Because you can go back to, like I said, you can do the side quests with Martha, so you can go back to that other.
So I feel like if you stepped away for like a day or two and you didn't have like the marker, you'd be like, yeah, I was going to somewhere?
Where
did
we say we're Northreach?
Yeah. So you have to like talk to a couple people, wander around. Yeah. So I thought that was they left it a little bit like, wait, what?
A little bit
where are we going?
There's a little bit you can run around there too. You definitely walk up, and it's a pretty decent sized area, and it's like
so
a bunch
after
of corner little things to find.
So you go to Stillwind. So you go to Stillwind, walk through there. Clive's just kind of like, oh yeah, we're supposed to all just meet up in Northreach. So you go through like a new little small little area that kind of opens up then, like right before Northreach. It's like a pretty decent sized area. You can kind of just you can kind of run around, explore, fight a couple battles. Nothing too crazy until you get to Northreach. I forget again, when you first get there, there's side quests. I don't think there's anything right
in
off
Northreach.
No, bad. It's just
look
for the Dane right away.
Yeah, first because there's like 2 parts in Northreach.
Yes.
So there's like a little camp kind of area outside of like gates.
Yes.
That guards are blocking. You can't get past them. And he's kind of like, where's this Dame that I'm supposed to meet? I don't know where she is. So, yeah, there aren't any side quests quite yet.
Right.
And so then you just kind of do a circle. And again, this would probably be pretty lost. And I almost did this last time again, but then it's like, oh, here's a marker.
I think I do remember kind of looking for a minute, yeah.
And so basically you're supposed to like go talk to all the NPCs, and then you go to talk to one of them who has her back to you, and then...
A moment. I doubt you could afford even that much of my time. Branded.
My mistake.
No, mine. Upon reflection, you don't have the scent of a branded about you. The flowers. Otto always did know how to please me. More than Sid ever did anyway. Do you think you could please me, Clive?
You're the dame.
Yeah,
And
and
he's
then
kinda
he
like-
turns around and he's like, "You're the dame."
It's like you're who I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Very.
And starts flirting with him right
Yes,
off the bat.
starts flirting with Clive, like hitting on Clive right away.
Like-
and her voice is very sultry, like sexy voice, and then she's just seductive. Yes, she's just like she's like, oh, you're my type.
Basically, then she says, like, meet me by the guards, I think.
Yeah,
right?
it's pretty quick. She's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, like you need help, follow me, and he's kind of like, what, where? And she pretty much just like goes right through like the gate with the guards, and he's like, whoa. Hold up, what are we doing? Because
the guards
again,
stop you.
Yeah, because again, Clive is a bearer.
Yeah, huge tattoo on his face.
That's just
might as well tattoo bearer on his forehead.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like
Dumbass,
her whole point is like you're a bearer. I gotta sneak you in. I'm gonna use you as like my bodyguard. So like, come on.
So basically, the guards stop you, and then basically what she's like, it's a little dangerous for just some little damsel in distress like me.
Yep.
So I hired a bodyguard, and they're kind of like, you're lucky you're with the dame, or.
So you kind of already see a little bit of her like authority.
Yeah.
She kind of already like shuts these guards down, lets Clive kind of just walk on through.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, they're just like bearer, like
And they were like, if you
get off.
Yeah, you're lucky you're with her. Otherwise, we would never let you in here. Get out of my sight, you filth.
Yeah.
Right.
So again,
like, God, just more and more.
It's
of
just
that is how horrible the bears are. If we didn't get enough by this point.
Yep. Right. If you, in case you forgot, bears are treated like crap.
Yeah. I made a note. Yeah. I said. Oh no, that was later with the side quest. But basically saying like. I was like, bears are like Google or Alexa, like how we talk to them, because they're like, they're not even like, they're not sentient, right? So we talk to Google and like, shut up, Google, you're so dumb, right? Like say stuff like that to them. And like I said, they're treated less than human. Like they're not even sheep or cattle.
Right. I think they even like say that. Like they're just like
you're not even worth my cattle.
Yeah.
Like you're worth less than that.
Mm-hmm.
They're treated so horribly. And there's side quests later on. I jumped a little bit ahead here, but
there's
hammers it even more home.
We get a couple there. We'll touch on.
But so then you go through
now
you're
through the gate, and I think then she's kind of just like, come talk to me, I think, or something.
Yeah,
right?
meet me at my place. So you go now. You can kind of wander around and talk to some people, but there's really not much to know. Other than the fact that you realize this place is filled with soldiers and whores.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Place.
Yeah.
It's a soldier.
Everybody's just talking about going to the dame's place. I forget what it's exactly. The Veil. Thank you.
Veil, which is hilarious again.
Yep, another good one.
Another Game of Thrones reference, except for this Veil is slightly different. You would think this Veil would be run by Littlefinger.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's. We were talking about this earlier. Yeah, that seems just little crossing of like Game of Thrones.
Dame is
how she has her authority and power in the city is like Game of Thrones, where they're like, oh hey, like everybody comes to the brothel and spends money and talks, and like that's how we get information. It's like that's what the Dame is in.
We totally jumped over though. At the beginning when they first meet too, almost right away the Dame says to Clive, she's like, oh, no need for informalities, you can call me Isabella.
That's right, she does say
right off the bat. It was like, you can call me by my name, and it was kind of like so far everybody's called her Dame, and ever since that point everybody's called her the Dame. Nobody's called her Isabella, only she said to you. So it was kind of like, well, she really likes Clive right off the bat.
The more you like talk with her, the more like that comes out that she literally basically just says is like, Clive's my type, like
always is hitting on Clive. So you could go around and talk to people, not really, but
not much to do yet.
Just go talk to find her, and she's like,
Veil.
welcome to the Veil, which is basically just her building, part of Northreach. And then she says, now I got you in, so now you owe me a favor.
Right. It's kind of like, hey, your friends aren't in yet. I helped you out, quid pro quo, help me out.
Yeah. And says that she's missing one of her, what are they called?
Girls?
Girls, I think she says.
Ladies of the night?
Yeah. Ladies of the night.
Courtesans?
Yeah, she says one of them.
Whores? Missing one of the girls.
No, I swear to say, whores.
When they're whores.
But she's been gone for like a week or something, I think she said. Nobody's heard from her, seen her.
If you could kind of
see if you can
track her down, right?
Talk to people and see what happens. So
you're already like right off the bat. I don't know if you were like me. I was like,
Yeah, this point I was like, God, I hate these kind of quests.
Right, I was a little like, come on, like we're really like we just got like free and like we're learning about the mother crystals, and then it's like, oh, go find this person, and you're like, she's probably dead. Like
this is probably one of my least like boring parts of the game. This is the first part where I was like, all right,
kind of run through it a little bit.
It felt very MMO like of the. Here's 20 minutes of run into this person to
go
talk
from
to this
A, go to
person,
B, go to
this
A, go to
person.
B.
It's for a part that I'm like, I don't give a shit about this person. Like,
right. Like,
I want to know what's going on with Sid and Jill. Where are they? I don't care about this whatever. But basically, so I mean, again, I think we can kind of
speed through it a little bit. Yeah. So you go talk to a person. You go to like a new spot, like a new smaller little city. Tells you to go.
Basically, though, so you talk to a handful of people and they say she left with a soldier.
Yep. So you know you're looking for like another guy.
Which he had frequented her almost every night. Would request her.
Yes.
They said they saw him leaving to this other place.
So talk to this place.
You should be even more careful because they really hate bears.
That's what it was. So, that place.
But you now have I almost forgot too. You now have a badge that says that you are with the game.
I don't know if we've really mentioned it in previous episodes. The more like allies basically you talk to, people who help your cause.
Oh no, you get one with Quentin.
Yes.
There's
a couple allies who are helpful to your cause. Like Martha's another one. You get like a little badge or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
so then it shows like, hey, this person of authority is like with you, like you're with that person. So like
you don't really see it on him.
No, it's more of like a background thing. Yeah,
they just know it's like when in your.
I think I've seen a couple like memes or pictures where it's like as you go along, he's like a Boy Scout, where it's just like 100 badges because it's like every person you help gives you a badge so that they know like you're good.
It's their gateway of getting further into the story always.
Right.
Like, you can't get further until you do this and get the badge from so and so, and then everybody will be like. And you notice it too. You'll be talking to people, and they're like, "What are you talking to me for, you filth?" And
you're a
like,
bear, right?
Hang
they're
on,
like,
whoa, he's got the brooch or whatever.
Yeah,
of the dame. Like one word from him,
and you can't go there.
Can't go to the brothel, man.
So that's how she has the authority in the whole city. Is basically like if you can come to the brothel or not. Everybody just follows along. So like, oh,
and it's basically a town of soldiers in wartime.
Yeah.
So.
There's like a garrison there. There's a lot more like you're saying, it's soldiers and whores are pretty much
all that's here. I don't think anybody other than that.
So but then there is like this other little small like village you call it that they were saying that's nearby, but like really hates bears too. So you go there, talk to like try to find the soldier and the lady real quick, and they're like, yeah, they went off like this way. So you go that way and find 2 bodies, and you're like. Surprised they were like torn apart by just some monsters, some beasts. And
you know it's them too because jumping back now, the dame said she gave her a special comb.
That's what it was, yeah.
That it was like
brush or
comb
or something.
Yeah, brush, something like that. And said so she's got one. Like that's not something that whores normally have. Like it was a special like high-end one or something like that.
Right.
And the 2 bodies it was laying by them, so you're like, this
was hers. Yep.
And then another soldier pops up and is like, I was looking for him. And Clive goes, the one thing kind of funny, Clive's like, were you following me? He goes, why would I be doing that? Unless there's a reason I'd be following you. But no, I wasn't following you. I'm looking for that guy who's right there. Looks like we both found what we're looking for. And then he was like, I'll make sure when I have my guys come to bury him that they give her a proper burial.
Yeah.
Turns out the soldier, fell in love with the dame's girl and was trying to run away with her and marry her.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he was jealous and thought somebody else would take her.
Yeah. Pretty tragic because it's like where they were, like where he took them out in the wild was to like get married. Mm-hmm. And then they just end up getting attacked.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh.
It was, at this point, it's a little of like, I was kind of like, sad story, but what does this do to the main story?
I thought the whole
I don't really
time,
get why
like
this
she was dead from the get-go, so I was kind of like,
what is the
whatever.
whole point of this? So we'll get in a tiny bit. I do want to make also a slight note, though, going to when I was talking about like how horribly they were treated. There's 2 side quests in mind that on your way to this other town that you can do.
I was gonna say I forget when you can do
I'm
them.
pretty sure this is when you can do them is on the way to the town, or I think you can still do it after.
Or it's either right after this,
yeah,
where basically and then you basically all you do after now is go talk to the dame, give her like the brush or comb. Sorry, she did.
She tells,
right?
Sorry, she's dead. And then the dame's like, okay, well, your companions are hiding up by this little house on a hill or whatever. Which is
right, yeah.
But so any point in this time, I think you can do these side quests. I'm just gonna go through
2 that stand out
because they were another one that like make the pit in your stomach sick of how people are treated. One is there's a little girl who is saying
she lost her pet.
Her pet, yeah.
She has white hair. I'm looking for like my pet, and you're like a cat, like a bunny,
you're thinking like a cat or dog.
Let's go help out this little girl. Yeah,
right. I'll help her out, and you go look. And she was last seen by like this tower or whatever. So you go to this tower and you see like somebody laying down. You're like, oh no, somebody's hurt. And you get up to him, and it's a bear turned to stone.
It's like a young girl, just like turned to stone.
Young girl, completely to stone. The curse, the bearer's curse, I think is what they called it. Mm-hmm. And
so you're like,
then the little girl comes up and is like, oh no, now I need a new pet. She's
it's
used
like,
up,
calling her name is like, so and so, get up, like you're being lazy.
Yeah.
Oh no, I need a new pet now.
Yeah, and it's like, Daddy's not gonna give me a new one for a while. Like, he always like, she was used up too quick and something like, all this like
and you're like,
just like
what?
Like literally like not even a pet, like it was like some toy.
Yep.
It was
it was a toy doll.
Toy that she got at the store.
Absolutely.
Like how my kids treat the $5 toys.
And then Clive basically just traumatizes the kid.
Yeah.
Because he
snaps at her.
Yeah, he's like, this was a person like you.
Yeah.
This was not nothing.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? And then like the little girl starts like,
yeah,
kind of clicks with her. It's like, wait,
she was like, that's not what they like. Daddy tells me they're not though. And he was like, no, she was a person no different than you, and you killed her by overworking her.
Yeah, and the little girl just starts like crying, basically.
She will never move again.
And that's like the end of the quest.
Yeah, and it was like,
wow, that's
messes up in so many ways.
Yep, of just how it's like the hate is just the kid doesn't even know like she's doing a wrong thing.
Getting to Clive too was the fun part. So there's another one now. I kind of want to make
that one doesn't make you feel sick.
Oh god! Now this one you get up to a guy and he's like, "Oh, again, like my pet is missing." Right? This is when he has like a pet wolf. Or no, my son.
Go save my son, right?
Yeah, my son is being attacked or something by these wolves. Go save him. You go there and there's some wolves fighting this little kid. You kill the wolf. And then he goes, "What have you done, you idiot? You killed my pet."
Yeah, and you're like,
and he's like,
"Pet?
What? Your dad just told me to go save you."
And he's like, "You weren't supposed to like beat it, basically."
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm telling my dad," and he runs off, and you're like,
"Oh!" And then there's like another thing. I think he's like, "You're not supposed to like talk." And then Clive's like, "Dude," and I think Clive even then sees like another pile of bodies.
Yes.
So I think it clicks. He's like, Wait, you've been luring people in.
You've been luring bearers in.
Bearers, that's the thing. You've been luring bearers in to just get attacked by this wolf.
Yeah.
And then this little kid's like, why are you talking? Like, you're not supposed to talk back.
Yeah.
He's like, this one is weird.
Yeah.
Like, Dad!
Yeah, and then runs back off to his dad, and then you go back to his dad, and then choose him out.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, this is where Clive now is like, I don't care anymore.
He's like, starts to talk back to people. Yeah, when they're like, why are you talking to me? He's like, shut up.
Yeah. He's like, shut up. Yeah, what you're doing is evil.
Yeah.
And I will make sure that this does not happen again. You are done killing bearers like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, like I'm gonna get a bigger wolf and like, get you. And somebody like
there's another guy that
somebody else like comes then, right? And because it's weird, like you like walk away and are talking with this other person, and you're like, that's messed up. And then like in the background, you hear the dad and like the son are like trying to capture a bigger wolf, and you hear them getting like eaten or something.
Yeah.
And then like the guy's just kind of like, it's like how things go. And I feel like Clive is almost like, did you do that? And the guy's like, no, it just happened. And you almost walk away a little bit like, did this guy do that?
Yeah, did the guy kill him?
But either way, it's like they got what they were
what's coming to them. But those two just were ones that stuck out. It was like, oh god,
really hit home of just the bearers treated so awfully, and then just like not just that, like just so low. That you literally are just angry, like at the TV, at the screen, right?
Yeah. So those are those ones. Then you go up to this house on.
I was gonna say I think I only got just like a little bit of an area you can explore. There is one treasure box, if I do remember right. There is one little spot you fight like a group of soldiers or bandits. Oh, there's another thing I totally just remembered I wanted to bring up. Anyway, so there's one little spot you can find little bandits. You beat that group. I think there might be like an accessory, might be a piece of equipment.
I can't remember.
If it's, and I think it's just, there's a couple battles you can run around and do.
Because last time I didn't really explore.
There's one thing I noticed. If you kind of go to like, like north and go to like the edge and you kind of look over to your left. So like, I think if you're looking west, there's this weird like crystal thing sticking off way in the distance.
That's
and I remember thinking, like, it's just another. It's just like another crystal.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you about this. I remember talking to you about this and being like, "What is this thing?" Because then I started looking at it, and I'm like, look at the map, and I'm like, "There's not one in that direction. The only one from where we are that's like to the west is the fire one, and it's like that's not the fire one, that's not like the red one. There's an NPC in the area, like along a road. There's like two guys, and I just like happened to walk past them, and they started talking. They were like, did you see that crystallized like wave basically in the distance or something? That frozen wave is how they like put it. And they're like, I forget like the next line or two, but then I think it clicked, and it's like, oh, that's like Shiva, I think. Like freezing like a wave. They said something about it being like frozen or something.
Oh.
And how it like stays frozen. So then instead of it being like, oh, that's like a mother crystal, I think there was supposed to be a thing from like Shiva. Whether, because I don't think that's from like the fight with Titan or anything.
Oh yeah, because that was way in like.
Either way, if somebody
file, which is in the
if somebody noticed that thing as well, like I did, and happened to run into those NPCs as well, leave a comment, remind us what they said. But there was a weird little thing. Throughout the game, I noticed that thing, and then replaying it, I ran into somebody that said just like a comment. I'm like, no way.
It made me think. I wonder if that's how Jill and Sid came across or something. They were like.
If this is like way long ago, if this has something to do like with Leviathan, which almost brings me to another point. I swear somebody in Northreach has a comment.
I think that's the first time, yes. Oh,
they say something about a giant beast likened to an icon in the waves or something. They say something about a giant wave and a giant beast.
Yeah, I think that's like, this, and then I think later coming to Northreach, there's I can't remember if that's now or if it's later where there's like an older lady talking to the children, right, and tells her like some sort of like nursery rhyme, and says Leviathan.
Yeah,
I can't remember if that's this time.
Because again, we know Sid has explained the elements and how many, and there should be.
Said them all there, right?
And there should be like a water one.
Yeah,
we know there's not that many like mother crystals like left. We have yet to see that see that element of the icon, but this I totally feel like it was hinted at here, So whether then that ice wave or whatever is that, if that's like supposed to be from a previous battle from like Shiva or something, I don't exactly know. I just thought it was just something in the distance. You like I noticed like if you're exploring the area, and then somebody comments on it. Otherwise, in that area, the only other thing I have in note, you've come across at least one before. It's like the little Already stone, however you pronounce it, in the hideaway that you can do like your training or like whatever with. You've seen, I think, another one by Martha's Rest, and then now in this area, if you explore a little bit, there's like another one. Doesn't do anything.
Yeah, not yet.
But not yet, so we'll come back to that.
That's right. Yeah. But
it's another
totally missed this one and could not find it for a long time.
Oh, really?
This was the one I had to ask you. Was like, where the hell is this
really?
one?
Okay, yeah. I found that one because I just I don't know whatever you call it, our OCD-ness of just like
I thought
new
I
area.
Yeah, I thought I explored everywhere, but yeah, you can't do anything with them now. So then by the time we could, I couldn't remember where it was exactly.
Right. Yeah. But again, another thing, like the new area, it kind of decent opens up a bit, but like you want to explore it.
Yeah, but
there's not
a lot of exploring, but for not really like any reward.
Again, there is a treasure box. You find this one weird thing that doesn't do anything yet, but again, I still have to explore everything, even though like I knew there wasn't anything. But
first round was like I still have to go everywhere, even though you're really not finding much. But anyway, so I think that's pretty much everything important until we go meet up with Sid and Jill.
Yep.
Right.
I would again just a quick note, just
basically. Yeah.
Just do everything because the game even pretty much tells you, but you see one quick scene and then kind of even tells you like, hey, wrap things up.
Yeah, because this is so basically you're at the house.
Once you
I think
go
and all they
to the
say
house,
is like, okay, we're ready to go.
You basically just go. So that's where it's kind of like wrap everything up before you go meet up with.
There's no turning back from this.
Yes, but once you go to the little house on the hill, talk to them. It's a little quick scene. You kind of just meet up with the other two. They're like, any trouble along the way? Nothing worth mentioning. I think Sid just mentions, he's like, hey, I took a look at the Capitol. There's still a lot of people like there, so we got to sneak in like the back.
Oh, that's right.
I think that's
this whole scene. Yeah.
Pretty much it.
You're kind of like the back way, and you're like, what does that mean?
And then it's like, oh, okay. And then it kind of jumps now, and it shows you Oriflame, the Capitol. Mm-hmm. Kind of zooms in on a building.
It says the brothels of Oriflame, I think.
Yes, right, yeah.
So
the pleasure houses or something,
oh, yeah,
right?
Yeah. So you're like,
and then you're kind of like,
oh, okay.
Oh, wait, what? And it shows, the three in there. And me, or like, real quick, I was like, oh, I would have... We're kind of talking about sneaking in. How did we sneak in?
Yeah.
A little bit.
You kind of have to put two and two together, though, at this point. You're in a brothel. Oh, well, you just were helping the dame out, who is the, like, owner of the brothel.
Right, so it's kind of
like, somehow
that your way of sneaking in there
through
there, right?
Cheer up, you two. Can't think of a safer place in the Empire than a brothel.
Really? Doesn't seem very private.
We were talking earlier, your joke.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I was thinking, like, what would be really funny to have is, because Sid's basically just like, hey, like, this is as good a place as, like, any or whatever. It'd have been really funny to have him, like, walk out of a room, kind of, like, do it, redo his belt and be like, hey, let's make the best of why we're here.
The brothel.
Jill would be like, are we here for you or are we here for the plan? But it is more, he's kind of like, hey, it's as good a place as any, right? Yeah.
They're not going to look for us here.
Yeah,
right?
so it's like, I thought that'd been funny if it would have been like, he's actually like using the brothel.
And then your other little detail, so like, I think as he's saying this, he's walking up to the door and hands one of the ladies a bag of coins.
And kind of goes like, shush.
Yeah,
like if you basically, can kind of keep it down for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was asking you, I don't know if you noticed. So
didn't catch this.
I just somehow noticed that, like, oh, he had the bag of coins. Where did he get that from? And if you remember a while ago, before you fought Garuda, I think it's actually the first time you run into Benedicta.
Which leaves but one person who might be able to shed some light on the matter. They're in Lost Wing.
Sid is going through a couple of dead bodies as he's kind of talking to Clive about something, and he grabs from one of them, like a sack of coins, like, and he's kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's then now what he uses to pay at the brothel for them to keep it down. Yeah. So I just thought that was like a funny little thing. I don't know if anybody else picked up on that or anything. Yeah.
I just thought it was funny too. I was wondering where he got that sack of coins.
Yeah, right.
Like, where's the hell his money?
Yeah, right. Because I remember thinking, I think I almost remembered him getting it more, because I thought it was funny. I was like, oh, this is funny. It's showing him rummaging through dead bodies to see if they have anything, and he's like, oh, this one had money, cool. And then it's like, oh, he uses it later at the brothel. I think Clive's kind of like, what are we doing? What's our plan? And I think he just explains basically like, we're gonna go sneak in through this area, like this crystal mine area. And Clive is like, that's like one of the most guarded areas. And Sid's response is like, one of, not the worst.
So there's a start. Oh yeah,
he's like, that's a start. It's not the worst.
Yeah,
it's one of. But
it's such a smart.
So yeah, right. I think they're just kind of, we're gonna go sneak in through there.
I think he talks
wait till
nightfall.
Else. Nothing too much. Yeah, I think they.
Anything else though? Then it just kind of again is like you said, a little jumpy, because then it just jumps to now nighttime, and we're like right outside this gate at a wall.
Right, you're kind of up top on like a hill looking over the like mine kind of, crystal mine area. And yeah, again, I just have in my notes like, I kind of would have liked to explore a little bit.
Yeah.
Like with
seen Oriflamme a little bit, or been able to walk, or like
we were
kind of be forced to go to there.
Yeah, or just see the scene of a little quick scene of them just going to the mine. You kind of start there. We were talking earlier, I thought would have been kind of cool is to just a little bit to get to explore the city. It makes sense story-wise why you don't, but like they could have made it just like a small little block or like a street, just an extra shop, a couple extra people to talk to,
maybe a hidden item or something that you can
just something. And then you could kind of just be like, they limit the area, and your excuse could kind of be like, oh hey, like we're still hiding, don't go too far in the city, right? It makes sense that you don't really, but it just feels a little jumpy. All of a sudden we're in Oriflamme, boom, we're like in the mines, and you're like.
Especially when you're doing all like the side quests before.
Yeah.
It's like we haven't really done a whole lot of story, and then it was like, here's a little bit I don't care about story. Here's a bunch of side stuff that is like I don't really care. And then all of a sudden it was just like bam, 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 and you're like, well, where are we again? Where are we going now? We were here, now we're here.
Totally.
I forget exactly. Yeah. So this is one of the first parts where it was kind of a little like, all right, we're getting a little. Jumpy here.
Jumpy, just felt
wish
like,
it would have
right.
like a little rushed.
Yes.
Like we could have taken a little bit more time. But I guess it's not horrible because I don't know how much. Like if there was, it probably would have dragged on by this point.
Again, like we were just talking about the whole game and the side quest, being like, come on, let's get to it. That then if you just had a point where, hey, just explore the town. Here's another side quest. Yeah.
You might have started to get really like, all right.
Like I get to it. There's better stuff to have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you're at the mine now, looking over kind of a bunch of people, some guards, and Sid and Clive just have like this great banter, going like back and forth.
There are not nearly enough men here.
Then it's fortunate the city guard doesn't take sentry assignment as seriously as you do. This bodes well.
That'll be a first. This may not be such a terrible plan after all.
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
Only that your last secret shortcut was nowhere near as secret as you claimed.
Yeah, but that's half the fun of it. Life's too short for perfect plans. You want a plan that'll keep you on your toes, stop you growing old and complacent.
Worked for you, has it?
Clive, my boy, even life's smallest challenges offer the opportunity to grow and to change. You must embrace these moments. Allow them to suffuse your heart with a deep sense of fulfillment.
Narrowly escaping death at the hands of an enemy is not my idea of fulfillment.
And then Jill kind of has like a little smile and a smirk, and Sid is like, is there something or something the matter or whatever, and she just is like, no, nothing.
No, nothing. And you get like they feel very just kind of like brotherly with how they're kind of
a little bit,
going against each other. Yeah, the
forth.
banter, a little brotherly, just very very good friends, you know. And you're like, I guess I like this guy.
Joe, and then you can just see, and you made a point earlier when we were talking that I think this might be like the first time we've seen Jill have a smile.
I think it is.
Like
I think
up to this
that
point,
is.
Jill has actually very subtly, but like had a very like sour, almost emotionless look.
Very reserved, right? Yeah.
Almost this entire time. So at this point, she finally has like a little bit of a smile. And actually is, so it's kind of nice to see. You can see that the relationship between the two is making her happy a little bit.
Right. Yeah. And think.
But then
you finally get control of Clive again.
Yeah, I was saying I don't think they really say much more. I think it's just kind of like, all right, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Time to get ready. Here we go, and then you get control of Clive, and now you've started the mission, quote unquote.
Right. Yeah. I forget how they. What are they called? Yeah, your little
mission or whatever.
Yeah, your little areas. You finally have your full party now. You finally, I think this is your first time that you have Clive, Jill, Sid, and Torgal.
Yeah.
So you're like, all right, this is the full party. Let's go.
This brings more of a like, dang, I just wish like a little bit of like old school being able to have the party.
Mm-hmm.
Like an actual party
now
where I could like equip and like see stats and everything. Like this would be like
switch like between Sid and then Jill and you know, like because now you've played as Clive, so like now you'd play as Sid and Jill a little bit more.
It could be a moment of like you're like, yes, I finally have my
party
group together. You know,
it's not much different.
Yeah, I do notice though they do damage though.
Oh yeah,
like. It's sometimes hard to notice because you're doing so much craziness when you're actually battling, but like when I was doing the easy mode, I was kind of stopping for a little bit, and like if you stop too long, they stop attacking. But if you stop for like a brief moment, they'll still attack a little bit and do their abilities, and it was fun to watch their abilities. You know.
Yeah, they got a couple cool moves, and they will finish off some guys for sure. Yeah. It reminds me of the first like Kingdom Hearts, especially when you have Donald and Goofy with you. Same thing. Like you may not notice how much they do. You go and beat one guy, they maybe like do the same. Then there's that spot where you lose them. There's a couple spots where like you lose them for a little bit, and when you're just Sora and you realize you're like, oh, I have to fight and beat every single guy. You don't realize that they take care of a couple of guys. Right. It's like the same thing. Like you don't really notice because you're just kicking ass as Clive. Yeah. But then when you lose them and you're just Clive, like how you just were, you're like, oh, I have to fight. I have to get rid of every single monster in the fight. You know, where it's like you take on one guy and they took on the other two, and you're like, oh all right, yeah. Like
I was saying in the last one, where like Sid took out the whole dragon that
takes like a whole boss basically. Yeah,
and it's like they really can do quite a lot of damage. And
I just wish you could have a little bit more control. Like tell them to do
really
like a move.
Like I want to know their moves called and like or have like being able to say they had like 4 abilities and you got to choose only 2 of them, so you got some sort of customizing when
they could do a little bit more area damage versus
it'd be cool if they had equipment too. Like even if they are coming and going a lot, and it's like just a little something, so
just a little
for me to explore in the area, and like, oh okay, if I didn't explore, I miss a sword that Sid's gonna do a little bit more damage in this part, or
right
his ability would do more, just a little bit more would have been nice.
Totally agree. Still cool, still got the party together. But the area, the stage, that's what it's called. They call it stages. Yep. So this stage is pretty straightforward, nothing crazy. As you're going along, I think they're kind of just commenting on, like we were saying earlier, like less guards. I think Sid's kind of commenting on like this is one of his like shortcuts. He kind of knows the way. So again, Clive kind of is like, okay, great, another one of your shortcuts. That's great.
No, for a while, you don't find anybody for a while, and then all of a sudden there's a couple groups and
a couple of guards.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, I guess we are gonna have to fight here,
and then I think eventually you come along.
Oh wait, no,
and you fight the big guy.
This is where I think I want to make a note of this.
Yeah,
because we brought it up earlier.
Yep.
Right. So as you're walking, then this is where Clive is like, well, Isabella did say that they were abandoning the capital.
Seemed like people were moving out.
Yeah,
like that's why
moving
there's
out, they
less
were
like
gonna
guards
abandon it,
here.
right? And then, not responding to that part, Sid's like, "Wait, she let you call her Isabella?" And, and I missed it the first time. I'm just replaying it, caught it, and was like, "Oh my god, that's hilarious!" It reminds me of Game of Thrones moment. I guess not much spoilers, but for those who have watched it, if you remember, Podrick, Tyrion's
Like
squire.
Squire, right? Yeah.
Had saved Tyrion's life at one point. So Tyrion is rewarding him by giving him money to go to the brothel.
Right,
And
yeah.
he gets 2 girls that he's supposed to be with. And then he comes back with the money, and Tyrion's like, Podrick, you're supposed to pay them with that.
Yeah.
And he goes, I tried, they wouldn't take the money. And they're like,
I think he's got
What?
one line. He looks at Bronn, I think, right?
Yeah,
and he's
Bronn,
like,
yeah.
"Did you ever know like a whore to not take money?"
Yeah, he's like,
"Nope."
Never. Nope. They're like, details. We need
What
details.
did you do to them?
But like that was the moment it reminded me of with how Sid was like, wait, what? Like,
She let you.
she never lets me call her Isabella.
Yeah. Like, what did you do?
Thought we were even good friends.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Doesn't let me call her
And
Isabella.
like
What did
you kind
do?
of made the comment of it's funny because it's not in like a scene. It's
Yeah,
as you're
it's like
walking
you're just
around,
walking.
so you could totally miss it. And it's funny because like Clive doesn't like then acknowledge that.
Yeah, yeah,
Wait,
they
you let her
both
call her
can-
Isabella, and they're just like,
Yeah, he didn't.
Nothing.
Didn't ignore. Just ignored that. It was this little detail which just was so funny.
yeah. So again, like there's just a couple things going along.
Yeah,
like
they're just
that.
chatting as they're talking, but nothing really like too important. Just basically like, oh, this is weird. There's nobody, and then all of a sudden you run up on people, and then you start fighting.
Yeah,
There's a
couple
group
of
here,
guards.
and then move forward, and there's another group here.
I think then you come across kind of like a mini boss, like the
Yeah.
big guy with the rocket.
Yes. So all of a sudden, then there's a group. You fight a bunch of guys, and then afterwards, this big guy with a big rocket-like thing
I
comes
forget
out
if you
from like a gate.
fought him at the end of like Eastpool. I think you might have come across like a big dude before, or if not, this might be like your first time fighting
Yeah, I
the
don't-
like rocket kind of thing guy.
Yeah, I think
He's got a couple interesting like moves. He'll hit you like he
got a
jumps.
weird moveset.
He jumps around a little bit, so you might get hit a couple of times, but
He
nothing.
literally like
nothing
flies
difficult.
on a rocket
Yeah.
at you.
It's
Like you'll
kind
fight
of weird.
fight this style guy later in some things where he can be like really tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has some goofy moves to him, but nothing too hard.
Nothing-
You get about halfway through the fight though.
And then this
I
is where
think
you
it was
get
halfway
introduced
through,
to
or no, I put it like 3/4 through the fight.
Ether Flood, I believe,
Yes.
comes in and they kind of make a comment. They're like wait, like the ether is like popping up all of a sudden.
Oh,
And then he
that's what they've been
turns
talking about too, as they've been
as they go
walking.
along.
They've been mentioning they're like the ether's pretty thick in here.
Like you
actually.
literally can see it,
Yeah, you start to be able to
and they
see
call
it
it like
before
an
this fight.
ether flood. And they're like, oh, maybe that's why the mines have been abandoned.
Yeah,
like or something.
Because they're like,
that's why there's
if
nobody.
we weren't dominants, this would be pretty dangerous for us.
Right.
So
And then
like,
you
be
see
breathing in,
why.
but dominants are fine.
Is now this guy turns into what they call Akashic.
Is he?
Bollocks. He's gone Akashic.
Poor wretch.
And he turns into this kind of like blue, like zombie-fied almost, like
Yeah.
version. And then
not,
they
not totally like zombie. Yeah, it's more of like a.
they explain basically there's so much like
Crystallized? I don't know
ether
how
that
to
you
explain.
absorbed that you like slowly are like crystallizing almost, and you're basically just turned into like a mindless beast. Like there's nothing left of you. You basically are dead. So like now you fight this guy who turned into this. He's even stronger, even harder to fight, and like during it, or like as you beat him, he kind of just withers away because it's like you're turned into like a crystal, and they kind of make a comment. They're like,
I'll never get used to that. Akashic or no, he was still a man. A man who drowned in ether.
It's no way for anyone to go.
like exactly how they put it. They're like, I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a thing to remember that this is like bad.
Yeah. It's kind of, I guess what we should explain is this basically like the blight version of humans.
Yeah.
What the blight has been doing to the land.
The land,
but it's
right.
I guess more like a reversal, because like that's
Right.
removing the ether, and this is like flooding your body
Till,
with so
like,
much ether that you're just like
Die, basically, yeah. But you're
jacked
still,
up on meth or something, like
right, but you're
to a
still
crazy
just
where
going,
you're
yeah.
nuts, yeah.
So-
but then, yeah, like you said, there's nothing of the body afterwards.
Right.
Like,
I think
just
they basically say, like, the best thing you can do for them now, like, after this happens, is to put them down.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, dang, okay.
Yeah.
You start to fight a couple more Akashic people, guards
Yeah,
and stuff.
now they have all become Akashic,
I think
right?
Sid makes a comment. He goes, "Oh, that's why the guards were there. They weren't here to keep people out. They were here to keep these Akashic in." And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, so now you understand there's this flood going. Again, if you kind of, I don't think they hit you over the head with it, but
they're
if
really
you
good
stop
at
and
this
think
game.
about it, you're like, oh, okay, so there's less guards here because there's a flood of ether. That's why they aren't like mining it. That's why they're going elsewhere. And that's why they're all gone, leaving. That's why the scene earlier they were talking about invading the place to the south.
Yes.
So like you kind of put a couple
Yes.
things together in like the back of your mind, like, oh, this
Again,
is all
they-
starting to make sense now.
Yeah.
Why they're leaving and
Yeah, they don't spell it out for you, which is like really nice. Where you're like, they don't just dumb it down. Like sometimes in movies, and they're like,
they repeat a couple
you watch
things.
the scene and then they reiterate, and they're like, or like it'd be like Goku goes Super Saiyan, and you'd be like, he just went Super Saiyan. And you're like, we didn't need.
Why
we
do
can see that. You don't have to explain it to me.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
it's cool because it's not like that, but it is like you could miss it if you're not thinking.
There's a
about
couple
it.
of things
You
where like, oh,
kinda
I
have
want
to
this
stop and
explained,
really
and you're
think.
like, oh, like they kind of do.
Like some of it didn't really catch the first time, but replaying it, and then you stop and think for a minute, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Why they were leaving the capital, because the capital is flooded with ether, and the blight's coming to also destroy the land within. Like this place is unlivable. They have to move. So war was their only option.
Right.
The only other crystal, which they have to base their city around, their whole lifestyle has to be around these crystals. The only one that's available is the one that everybody's agreed to not take, but you can't live
They're
where
like-
you are anymore. So you have to take
so
that.
it's like,
It's take
oh,
that
that
one, or
makes
it's fight
sense,
somebody
yeah.
else. So after doing a little bit of walking, this is the funny scene where you come up to a bridge.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about this one.
And you
yeah.
walk up to this bridge that has like a couple of planks missing, a few feet gap. Clive just, without even saying anything, just kind
Gaps
of like jumps over it.
Doesn't look that far. Right.
Lands it, and he's like, I know you can do it, type thing, and then takes a step, and boom, and he goes
Board just
through
breaks,
the board,
yeah.
and then he grabs the board, and then that board breaks, so he's like almost falling.
So
and
now he's at his fingertips
Yeah.
holding on.
Yeah, and then
you're like, no.
Yeah, no,
You're
no.
like gonna do it now?
I can't just do it. No, say it. Yeah, and then Clive saves him though and pulls him up, and he was just kind of like, oh, that was a little too close, and then he makes a joke too. He goes, well, at least you're not going to get lost now. Because you can't go back now is like too big of a gap, because now he just broke
That,
the-
or I think he's kind of saying, he's kind of like, what would you do like without me or something like that? And he's like, well, you wouldn't get lost, right?
Yeah,
like,
oh, yeah.
My shortcuts. So then I think you go into, like the inner sanctum then?
Yeah, so this is where you come up to a big hole
Right.
in a wall, and then you just kind of hop down, and it's like, might look a little familiar to a
little bit
place
like
we were just
Phoenix
at
Gate,
with
right?
Phoenix Gate. Yeah.
Very grand and like stoneworky.
Yeah.
And it's like all
it's, like,
illuminated by
white.
like white.
Bright.
It seems
Kinda-
old, but like advanced still. Not as
Yeah.
like advanced as like Phoenix Gate. Like you don't have like moving platforms, but just still seems
Yeah, not
very
quite
just
yet.
like elegant, just better than what today is. Right? You
Right.
know, almost you're like weird.
I knew it would be big. But this...
There. That's our way into the inner sanctum.
And then it's all just like illuminated by like blue crystal. I think I have in my notes just like the music is just
Oh yeah,
like,
then the music hits, and it's fantastic.
it's just perfect. Like it's just so fitting. This kind of
So good.
mysterious,
Yeah, this
but
is
like
what
I have just like
the
beautiful
organ
place.
piano kind of
Yep.
hits, but like eerie, but I don't know how else to explain it.
It's
I'll have to put it on.
Right.
It's so good.
It's just very
I literally
fitting.
had to stop for a second. Because this is so good.
It's one of those
I can't
spots.
wait for this.
You get into the spot and you just stop for a second and look around. The music, it hits good. It's like the lighting and like the place. It's very much, you just take like a second to look around it.
So
And Sid starts talking about the hole in the wall, right?
yeah,
I think this whole time they're kind of like, how have you known?
yeah. Clive was like, "How
Where
do you
we're-
know that you're?"
You'd think they'd have patched that up by now. Sorry state the Empire's in.
Wait. You don't mean...
Aye, my little game of hide-and-seek with Bahamut ended here. At tragic cost to this remarkable architecture. Don't blame me, he started it.
But how did he make it out alive?
I walked. You should try it.
So again, another thing they don't hit you over the head and spell it out for, but now you understand that, this is how he like escaped, so that's how he knows that you could get back in this way.
Yeah, that was how it was his shortcut because he made the shortcut at some point before and left. Then Clive is like, kind of like, oh my god, you fought Bahamut? Like, how did you escape? And he was like, I walked. You should try it.
Again, Sid is just great. It's sarcastic, like, I walked. But I think what he more means is kind of like, I wasn't Ramuh anymore.
Yeah.
So then I was just like a normal person, whether or not they know who Sid is and what he looked like, whatever.
Right.
I feel like that's basically what he meant, and I just blended
Whether
in.
he was the one who blew a hole in the wall or Bahamut blasted and then he just like snuck through the wall and disappeared.
Right, I feel like
that was just funny.
it's just like, I walked. Yeah, I mean, like, oh, all right, dude, yeah.
Smart
But a
ass.
little interesting, quick, little backstory of Sid, like we were talking about a little bit. So we know a little bit of his history. He was with aloooot, separated from them at some point, is doing this thing with the bears. So now we know he has tried to destroy a mother crystal, or like attack a mother crystal before, and then got stopped by Bahamut. So it's kind of a little bit of
And we were talking like maybe this is where then he gave up on saving the world, and maybe this is where he became maybe I just want to be able to die
to
on my
save
own term.
as many
maybe I'll
bears
just
as
save
I
the
can.
bears, and
I
that's where
was-
he got to die on my own term. And maybe I can't live, but at least
he tried, because we talked about a couple things before. One, he makes a comment way earlier. Clive says something about it, and he goes, "Oh, I'm not like trying to start a war. Like I'm too old for that. Like I'm to fight back."
that's what he was saying in the brothel. We forgot to talk about.
Was
That was when he brings up that scene when he starts saying that, and he's like smoking in the brothel, I think.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't want to start a war with that. Like,
right?
I'm too old for that.
Basically,
I
right?
think
Yeah.
is what he was saying.
And so then I was kind of wondering if that's when he was younger, that's what he was trying to do. Goes up against like Bahamut, realizes like I can't do it alone. Or I also had like a theory of, I wonder if at this point then he gets, because we know he's got the crystal curse on his arm. We know he's a little bit older, he's a little bit more worn down, he's coughing up blood a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe if that's like at this point he tried to go up against Bahamut, pushes himself a little bit, starts to get the crystal's curse, and is like we said, just more of like, well, if I'm dying, I'm just gonna save as many people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until
And
Clive
I'm not
comes
going to
around.
let you determine when I die. I'm going to determine it for myself. kind of
Right.
thing. I think where you got that mindset.
Yeah.
Was this moment.
But anyways, yeah. So you get
Yeah.
a little backstory. Now you start going through the inner sanctum,
Which is
here.
very identical to going through Phoenix Gate. You start fighting those same guys.
Those weird. If you do the active lore, they call them Ultima's thralls.
Yeah. Again, bringing
you're
up
like,
this Ultima. Again,
weird.
you're like, what is?
But again, there's just these weird.
And they
I don't
keep
even-
coming out like from like a void like
Yes,
thing.
a
They're
weird-
just appearing.
Appeared like again, yes. So they're just interesting. Like, what are these things? We've seen them before. Now they're here.
Yeah.
They're different than the other things that we fight, right? So you're like,
Yeah.
what are these things? Yeah.
That music though, that awesome music's playing the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's so good. But yeah, then you just do like a half loop or something around
Nothing
the
too
stairs,
much, right?
And then you come to this big, long, open bridge.
That if you've played any RPG ever before, you're like, there's a boss fight.
Pretty much any game, you're gonna be like, all right, that's gonna be
That's a boss fight.
If I've ever seen one.
Where did that come from?
If I had to guess,
Poor beast. Another victim of the flood.
Oh no, the beast is a cash.
I think they even make a comment. Yeah, they're
poor thing.
Yeah, they even make a comment. Yeah, they're like the poor beast, right? Yeah. But they're like, oh, it's oh crap, like it's
they're like
hard. Yeah,
that's a dragon, and it's a Kashik, and it looks like it's gonna kill us. So, boss fight.
Pretty decent boss fight.
This is a very fun one.
This is a good one.
These are my favorite fights.
Yeah, I wouldn't say horribly difficult,
things,
but still not like the easiest.
It can be pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of if you're not getting out of the way of his breath. There's one part where he flies up.
Oh, he's got one good move.
He breathes fire, and he's like slowly going across the whole bridge, and it's like a demon wall type thing slowly comes for you. And if you're not timed right, like last time I played it, I messed up, and even on the easy mode, I didn't manage it right. I was on the wrong side, got nailed by it, and did like half of my health. And that's on the easy auto dodge mode, and it didn't even do it, and I got hit. So I was like, yikes, that would hurt.
Yes,
hard mode.
I would say, not too much like a spoiler, but like, don't be afraid to use items on this guy. I was kind of like one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you think you're gonna fight another boss? Yes and no. So it's like this guy, you can just use up all your items. Make it a little bit easier.
If we've learned from anything from earlier too, is usually right after a boss, the next like area will basically be enough on the ground to like
give you your right,
almost fill you back up.
Right. So, don't be afraid to use the strength potion, the defense potion.
You definitely might have to, especially first time through.
Yeah, right. Because again, I think this is like your first time fighting a dragon.
Yeah.
So again, there's a couple types of enemies that you fight again that you kind of know their moveset a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you first come across them, like this guy, they could be a little tougher.
It's a very cool dragon fight. One of my favorites, and I'm a dragon guy. I absolutely love dragons that they're in there. Reminds me a little bit of like the Red Dragon in 7 or Grand Dragon from 9 kind of comes to mind.
Yeah.
One of those style dragons, but he's also like flying all over the place. So it's really, really cool fight.
Afterwards, yes. Yeah. I think Sid kind of grabs his arm like a little bit, and then he starts talking.
Yeah, and Jill's kind of wounded too.
Yeah, she's a little winded, right? Yep. So you're a little winded after. Sid starts talking almost like he's having like second thoughts, almost, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of like,
Clive, if this all works and the blessing fades, things are likely to get worse for our kind before they get better. Being the last to wield ether will make our talents that much more sought after, by which I mean hunted. I just hope in the end they'll see that we didn't have any other choice, that it was the only way to get us to a better place.
I don't have much time left,
right.
Still. And he has the comment of, I hope people in the end, understand this was our only choice. And then I think
we had no other option.
Yes, yeah. And then Clive kind of says, like, well, 2 out of 3 of us have faith in you. Yeah. Kind of saying, like, it's sounding like you don't have faith, like, in your own thing, but we still do.
Yeah. I was like, here I am thinking I was the one who was unsure or uncertain.
Exactly right. And kind of see that weird moment of almost doubtfulness in Sid, where up until this point he's very much like the man with the plan and seems like he's got it all figured out. And we see this moment of like, he's like, I hope we're doing the right thing almost. And you're kind of like, oh, what?
Should mention though, like, you could tell you're coming up on the heart of the crystal.
Right, it's right there. Yeah,
like the core of it.
The core, whatever. Yes, yeah.
So this is where like he's like, this is the
no turning back, and that's why I hope. He's like, there's no turning back basically from this point. It's gonna get worse, and I hope people like understand, kind of. about it. So then you kind of slowly you kind of go through like this little gate, and you slowly walk up to the heart, the crystal.
Yeah, there's a few steps you walk up.
And it's just I don't know. You're just like
so Final Fantasy mode.
Yes, thank you. That's what the words I'm looking for. This Final
Fantasy. You walk into this chamber, you go up steps, and bam, there's a crystal.
And if you're a Final Fantasy fan at all, you can't help just be like smiling. Like, this is it. Like, we're walking up the crystal.
I think it's playing a version of the prelude, right?
It's very like subtle. It starts playing that little bit of do 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 do.
Yeah, it's not the whole song, but it's like it throws it in the middle of the song.
Yeah, and you're like,
so,
oh, the music,
as you
the
like
vibe.
goes through, yeah, oh,
as you like walk
so
up to this crystal, and it's like the classic blue like light, and you're just like, this is Final Fantasy, dude.
Yeah, this is like. Yeah,
but it's weird.
Original.
A little. It reflects. Normally, we're protecting the crystals. Oh, I don't even know if we actually really touched on this earlier. So yeah, now we're going to destroy this crystal. That's our goal. Again, it just felt like a little funny to be like, oh, like this is the crystal. Normally, like that's where we get our power, and like we're trying to save it.
Yeah, I think for the most part.
And it's like, we're here to destroy this. So Sid walks up, takes a quick hack at it.
Yeah.
It gets deflected, force field kind of like type thing, right? And he's like.
No, it doesn't. I think it just doesn't do anything. It just gets in, like, does nothing.
And he's like, I think we're going to need a bigger sword. And then, I don't know what the term, like, what you call for Clive, but he's just taking it way too serious. Literal.
I think we're going to need a bigger sword.
Mine's bigger.
Thank you, Clive. But I meant that figuratively.
He's the person that it just takes it literal. He's like, oh, mine's bigger. And like, walks up with it. And he's like, Sid's like, no, that's
I didn't mean
not what I meant.
I meant figuratively, Clive. Like, put it back in your pants, man. Relax. Just straight up was like well, I got a bigger one.
Mine's bigger, yeah. And he's like, calm down, dude. So then he's like, goes to transform into Ramuh, and I again have at this point like the music changes again, and it's just this.
From here on, like every time there's music,
so it's just you just are like, oh, it's so good.
I can't wait for the soundtrack.
So this little like hype up music plays. Sid just does this little power up that's like super awesome, and it transforms into Ramuh. You're like, nice, cool, all right.
Yeah.
Real quick, just big lightning blast just blows up the crystal. I just have a quick note of if you catch the noise it makes. There's this little like scream. It's like a reverse scream. There's this little like just very slight whisper like scream kind of notice. Just a little mental note, of that when a crystal, kind of dies, that sound.
Clive, look.
What is that?
So you're just kind of, at first you're like, oh wow, like we destroyed a crystal. Wait, what's going on?
Yeah, it's almost like immediate, like, bam.
Boom, this gets blasted. You look back,
my God.
and you just see these giant, like, arms and hands crawling, like, out of, like, this black hole, like, void thing. And you see this, like, head and, like, long hair, this creepy figure poke out. It reminds me of The Ring. I think that's the movie where, like, the little girl crawls out from the TV. It's literally that scene. The long hair, the weird, pale, like, gross skin, crawling, like, out.
Creepy,
coming towards,
dead,
like, Clive.
undead-looking thing, yeah.
Great design. Totally freaky.
Yes.
I think you were saying you had your kid play it, right?
Yeah,
when you were
I was
replaying it?
just having Aries play it earlier to refresh my brain, and he was like, oh, what did he say? He was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah. He was like,
what the hell is that?
He's like, what is that? Yeah.
I think that's what it was. It was, what the hell is that?
They just nail it. Like, it is a freaky looking thing that just comes crawling out towards you.
Yeah, and then
I think you
Ramuh throws then his staff.
Yeah.
Like, venerable staff at it.
I think you hear the voice.
Not again. Where are you?
You hear Mythos, show us your strength. And he's like, got the headache though. So you're like, oh, okay, like this voice again. Ooh, what is this? Is it that thing?
Right.
Coming out.
Right.
And then, like you said,
Appanage.
that's when, Ramuh then chucks, like, the staff thing, sends the thing back into, like, the hole. I want to make a comment, too. It looks like the void. That's what my mind keeps going
Yeah, I just
to.
want to call it a void. Yeah. I don't know what else.
This
It's just
weird
big
black hole warp thing at the other side, like the void, right? Sends that thing flying through, back through it, but it's still, like, reaching its hand out towards Clive.
Yeah.
And so you
That's
kind of have this
weird, yeah. Like he's
So
like
he
pulling
kind of
him
gets
in, but he
pulled in?
doesn't like physically pull him.
Yes, so you kind of have this moment of, okay, yeah, did Clive get pulled in through the other side, or is this like a weird mental mind thing, like at Phoenix Gate? Like, again, we didn't physically like go anywhere, but like he's somewhere.
It's
So
again
then,
that same type of thing.
yeah, so it's
Ares was like, "Where are we?" And I was like, "That's a good question, but
yeah,
I don't know where we are."
right. So I have you kind of
Anyway.
it seems like you get pulled through that hole, that void, whatever, and you come to this new area, and Clive makes a comment. He's been here. He's like, "I've been here before," and you're like,
Did he? Oh,
okay, does that mean Phoenix Gate? Is this prior? Again, like, where are we and when?
again, it's like Bleach. It's like his inner
That's
self.
the best thing I can like compare
Yeah.
it to. It seems like that. It seems like your inner mind, your
That or-
spirit, your soul, or whatever.
Yeah.
But then
Some
you
sort
you
of-
look around and you see the thing, the giant being, like pierced up, with the lightning bolt thing like in his chest,
Yeah.
like stuck still.
And it looks like he's like shattered in glass or something.
Yeah.
Right? Because you see like cracking around it, like he hit something.
So he's like in midair, but it looks like there's like a barrier there.
Yeah.
And he's like all of a sudden, I think he starts
He
moving.
looks limp.
Yep.
At first, he looks like he's dead, and then he starts.
I think you hear the voice again, saying a couple like lines, just kind of like, how do I have it? Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think.
And then I love the thing starts moving, trying to like grab itself out, and Clive's response is literally like,
Fuck. It's still alive.
"Fuck, it's still alive," and it's like, I swear that's exactly what you say in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally so it's just one of those moments where you're like, oh, it's just. Like, being the R-rated and being able to just, like, curse, and it literally says exactly what I said. Like, I was just like, oh, fuck, it's still alive. He just says it. Like, so you're like, we're in the same boat, dude. Like, oh, man.
Yeah, then it summons a bunch of those monsters that you have been fighting, and I mean a bunch of them.
This is a good, solid, like, fight. Like, there's a horde of them. You can just go nuts.
Yeah, and he's doing, like, blasts.
I have
Area blasts and stuff, like, as you're fighting them.
Yeah,
So
and I have this
dodge those.
good music again. I don't know if it might be what's... No, I don't even know. I think it might be, like, the first time it's played.
Yeah, I think
It's a
like
theme
ever since
going
we
forward
dropped
now.
down, it's been new music after new music. I'm pretty sure it's like has its all unique music at just these points, which is kind of bummer because they're so good.
Right.
But also is like cool because
That's what makes them so
many
good
of
is they're
them.
like, it's for this moment. So again, like, the music kicks in, you're kicking a bunch of
It's an awesome
these little thralls' butts.
Yeah,
and
it's not hard, but
exactly. That's what's kind of fun. Is like you're just destroying them. Like, I just love doing Ignition, the fire charge move, and you just go around, collect them all, and just like, roar.
Yeah. Then after a couple of times, it breaks loose, and then
this is where
says some more things. This is when you turn into Ifrit.
Yes.
right?
So then it starts like summoning like a blast down, and this is basically then he has like a weird like almost like something hits him. Like he has like a weird like oh, and you kind of see like a little like I don't know. It seems like Ifrit's power now is like accessible.
I think he says something again of like we are to test you now.
You hear like the voice
Right.
again, yeah.
Test you.
It's like show us your strength again,
Right.
And then all of a
It's
sudden
like,
like
we are
he seems like he gets like hit with it, and he kind of has a comment. He's like this is my power, and this awesome just like fire pillar. He just like explodes at like the same time the like blast is gonna like hit him.
I am fire.
He's like, I remember now, like I am fire, like I am Ifrit. And you're like let's go.
Yeah.
So it transforms into Ifrit. Yeah, I am Ifrit.
Yeah.
Now you go into your another
battle.
icon fight, and this one's a little bit.
This
You have a little bit
one is
more
great.
control. This is a little bit more one.
This one is a lot more fun.
This is
than the last
a
one.
staple kind of now.
Yeah, because now you're not this slow and like it doesn't feel like with Garuda. It felt like you're a side by side fighter, but like slow slugger.
Couldn't do much besides maybe dodge and attack.
Yeah, and Ifrit was a little bit more. You could kind of jump around a little. This is like
full control.
Yeah, now you get the dash ability.
Yeah.
I think we said that you get in the last one, but I believe
it was like
prompted me to do it this time when I did it in the new.
It's like a different one. You can just go flying.
Yeah. Do a huge dash.
It was pretty fun too to have on the accessories that just make it like easy. You know, basically the auto battle, easy mode.
Ares was able to do it. Well, I had to tell him. I said, you got to use O and dash to the side.
You do have to still like do that.
Man.
Oh, really? That's cool.
And he did this fight.
But like to just as like a freight to just like unload like then that was pretty fun to like see that.
He has some cool combos, and again, it's all based on like what you've leveled. And you can level different things.
Yep, right. So it's just
make sure that middle circle of your abilities is all leveled up, so you can have all the abilities that if.
Right. Yep. Not too hard. Pretty easy. You kind of kick his butt.
Yes.
But then you get, I think you do deplete like his health bar.
Yeah.
But
and then you go to do like a cinematic action or whatever. And it
that's
goes into
what
another
it is.
cinema.
Yep. So it goes into like a little scene then. You think you kind of beat him.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden.
A couple of them appeared. Oh, and by the way, I kept calling him Typhoon.
No, but it's Typhon.
It's Typhon or Typhon. It's only one O. So I kept thinking like, oh, that's a
Typhoon, the other wind.
Typhoon, another like wind summon. Like, oh, okay. It's not.
It's Typhon.
And then that raises another
like what Typhon means.
What that is.
What kind of
because then that's it raises a question. What element is this icon? Because I guess it's not technically an icon.
Yeah, because so far though we've only fought other icons.
So this is actually a good question. Yes.
So yeah, and this is like
nobody's ever mentioned that this isn't like an icon before.
So what is
not 100% sure if he is, but he is. And then like what element? So he's kind of this thing Typhon is kind of a mystery.
Yeah. But so the other ones appear in the circle around you.
Yes.
And then the one you were fighting now absorbs.
There's this cool like little moment of like it flies at Ifrit, he goes to like punch it and it just like disappears and again says exactly what you're thinking, like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like sees them all getting like absorbed and he literally just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's like I said the same thing.
This is and I think Ares said almost the same thing.
So yeah, you're thinking like how many are there?
Oh god, what is happening? And then
then he fused together and making this golden, because before like creepy skin.
Now he reminds me a little bit of the final boss in Kingdom Hearts. He like Ansem and he's got the dark thing behind him.
Yeah.
But like they're not two separate beings, but he kind of was like that. And he has like almost like Machamp.
Yeah.
Right.
So he gets like
multiple
four arms.
4 arms?
Yep.
And then 2 in the middle, or is it just?
I think it's just 4 arms. Yeah.
4. So he just gets another setup.
But kind of more like golden. Just seems more bigger, put together.
Bigger, yeah.
Less like.
Even creepier looking, even more dead looking though.
Yeah.
Like dark in the face. And
still a creepy design, yeah, but you're like
even more creepier.
I would say, make a little mental note of his design.
Yes.
He might look a little familiar.
Very much.
Going forward, yeah. So then now you fight him again. I think this is where it prompts you to like use your dash ability a bit more. There's like a big area of effect move, so you got to kind of dash out of the way. They do one.
The only note I have is music is sweet, of course.
Yeah, music again. It just
it keeps changing and it just keeps getting better and better. It's so good.
It's so good. There's like a little bit of like a demon wall move. You kind of have to like dash to get into the opening. So he's got a couple different fun moves. It's a good fight.
This is when he does the demon wall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to dash to get into the door.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good fight. It's nice and fun. You might have to like heal a little bit.
I think I struggled in it the first time because I was not figuring out the whole demon wall thing stupidly.
Oh, really?
First time through, yeah. I had to like heal a couple of times, like, God, because it hits hard if you don't get through that gap.
I don't know if I ever did.
I think I was always like, hard. Ares missed it a couple times because I didn't tell him to do O.
Mm-hmm. And so you're just like running, right?
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you're not going to make that.
I was like, dude, you got to time it. You got to hit O in a direction. So yeah.
I think I just have like another note in here. It's like I feel like at this point you're thinking like, is this the bad guy? Is this like the voice right now? Is this the thing behind like this everything, right? Like is this the voice? Like what is this thing?
Gotta be the voice, right? But you thought, see, that's the thing where you started to think that was the voice, was just all in your head when you fought Ifrit the last time, right?
Yeah,
you got Ifrit, and you were like, I thought we were kind of done with this voice.
And then
right?
it's like,
that was what we fixed at Phoenix Gate.
Yep.
Came to this conclusion, and you're like, no, now maybe it's this thing.
Right.
What is this thing? Is this
It's
like what is
from
it?
like this other side now, like this thing
What is
was
this dimension?
area. Yep, this area we're getting pulled into that they seem to be.
And you don't
appearing
have
from.
too much time to think about all this because this is all just immediately into this fight.
Right.
It's like nuts.
So then you get his health almost down. Kind of goes into the cinematic battle clash, and I just have Hellfire Spirit Bomb for the win.
Dude, that's almost exactly my notes. I just put Spirit Bomb FTW. Spirit Bomb for the win.
For the win, bro.
Yeah. Dude, it's literally
so awesome.
Dude, the whole fight is great. So like he starts to do it, right? He starts to
The
build
second,
up the
bro,
Spirit
the
Bomb.
second the both hands went up, I'm
Yeah.
like, I know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it's like we all know where this is going. So he gets this big fireball, right? And it's exactly then DBZ because he gets his butt kicked then.
Yep.
He gets
He
kicked
like
out of
comes,
the way,
he dodges
and
it,
then
gets punched
gets to the
down.
ground.
Total energy blast,
Yeah.
like straight out of DBZ. where
Straight
they're
up DBZ
shooting
fight.
the barrage of energy
Uh-huh.
blasts.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then
Totally
then
like
it's
an anime fight.
Then he stops and you're like, oh, he killed him. You know, like Krillin would be yelling, like, "You did it!"
Yeah,
right.
right,
Or like
yeah.
Typhon's the one who did all energy blast. Ifrit's, you're like, oh no, we're dead. And then the smoke clears, and then Ifrit just does the one
hand up, and you
up
know.
in the air, and then you look, and it pans up, and it's still up there.
Above Typhon
Yeah.
is the giant
Yeah.
fireball.
And then he throws it at him, and then Typhon catches it straight up like Frieza catching Spirit Bomb.
Holding it.
And then he runs into it, right? And then Ifrit flies.
Is that
into
what he
it.
does? Yeah, I forget now how he-
And he goes to like punch it. Then
Yeah, I think, yeah,
into
he
him.
punches
And so then
it
you have
more
to hit
force.
Square, and then he blasts it,
Blows
into
it
him
all up.
and blows him up, and then like
Totally shout out DBZ.
Yeah.
Totally Spirit Bomb.
yeah,
Loved it so much, dude.
It's
I was like,
so good.
it was just such just satisfying, like end of the battle. You're like, yes!
Yeah, it's so cool.
Spirit Bomb for the win, dude.
That is awesome.
Sit there for a second, just Clive. You're still in the area, and you hear the voice say "most suitable vessel,"
Oh,
and then you just like reappear back.
yeah. And then you're now Clive in that area, and he like wakes up and he
So
gets up
you're-
off the ground.
You're back at where the heart was, the
Yeah.
heart of the crystal,
Yeah,
the mother
Jesus.
crystal. Yeah, back in that inner
And-
sanctum room.
Yeah, and Jill is kind of holding Sid up, and now
Yes.
Sid is not Ramuh anymore. He's just
Correct.
in his normal Sid, and you can tell like puddle of blood
Yeah,
under him, right?
right.
And so
He
Clive
makes a
runs up
comment
to him.
about he's like, "Oh, did you like you have a good nap?"
yeah,
So now there's another thing of when Clive is getting sucked into this other place, this void.
yeah,
How does time pass? Because we see it at Phoenix Gate. It looked like it was a split second.
yeah.
He has like his headache, and then like time froze, and then he comes back and seems.
Which the
almost like
difference
a
here is the
split-
time didn't do that freezing thing before he got.
It doesn't
sucked
like
in.
freeze, right? But
Right.
I'm still kind of wondering,
Yeah.
has he been gone
Is it
for like a
different?
minute, an hour? Has he just been sleeping for?
Mm-hmm.
And again,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like physically he's gone. Because did you enjoy your nap? So it looks like he's sitting there
Yeah,
unconscious.
like he passed out. Is really like to them what it looked like. All that happened was this thing went into the void and he passed out for a little while.
Right.
Yeah,
But again, yeah.
probably
Sid's dying. Yeah, Jill's holding
so
him. Yeah.
Clive runs over to him and he's like Sid, oh my god, and he's like, it's just a scratch. Okay, a hole.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's a bit worse, right?
Yeah, that's a hole.
And then I think like right after that, you hear, if you're paying really close attention, you have your volume up a bit, you hear a slight little noise, right? And then you can see on Sid and Jill's face, they're like, whoa, what is that? So Clive slowly turns around and stands up, and is out of nowhere
Oh my god.
is this crazy weird looking being thing standing just like nose to nose
Right in his face, yeah.
just comes out of absolute nowhere, and you just see absolute fear on Clive's face, Jill, and Sid. Just, what?
Yeah.
And then the design of this being is great.
Fantastic.
He's got 4 arms, little
Yeah.
like nod to who we just fought. Pale, like sickly.
Yeah, he looks like. To me, I said he almost looks like he took somebody else's face and put it on him.
Yeah, because it's
Like,
just like he has like lips, but like no like teeth.
Yeah.
And it's like the way his like jaw moves, like as he like talks, it's just like this like
Like he had a stroke or something.
Yeah.
Like it barely, like the facial expressions aren't really there.
Yep.
His mouth just kind of moves.
and then
Like,
alien like flesh kind
Yeah.
of, you know, very just
Yeah.
weird like texture and just skin, just this hard to describe, but like crazy.
I will
good
have it up on
design.
the screen
Yeah.
for you.
And
For those of you watching, because
I
he
yep.
is super creepy. And then I think this is when he says
his hand
in
comes
the-
up to
yeah.
like Clive's face.
and now it's still in that voice.
Yep, still
And
the
he says, "We are to become one."
Yep.
And this was Ares' response. I read it to it. He was like, we are not becoming one.
He's
Nope.
like, no, well, we shouldn't do that.
No, it shouldn't be one. Nope. Not going to do that.
That's a no for me, dog.
Yeah. It was hilarious.
But yeah, still in that
Yeah.
voice you don't understand, and it's like, yeah, like we're becoming one now, and is like holding his hand out to like Clive, and you just Clive is just wide-eyed, just stuck.
Yeah. Terrified.
Yep.
Frozen in fear.
And you hear Sid then on the ground go,
I know who you are. And if you think I'm gonna let you have him. Think again.
all of a sudden you see his
Sword through,
sword
right?
come like right through
Sid, like,
Clive, basically. It
teleports
almost
him
looks like
over.
it hits Clive. It's like an inch away from Clive, going right into the neck of the thing.
Yeah.
And you see then him fall down. Clive grabs the sword real quick, finishes the job.
Yeah. Rips it out the side of his throat.
And you're like, dang!
Yeah, and it's just like bluish, purpley blood splatter. just
Fire
like,
almost?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
just
like-
spewing from his neck as the thing falls to the ground. And as it's laying there just staring, and then it's a close-up
Zooms in
of
on
his face.
zooms in on its face.
Super creepy looking.
And again, you hear the
Barely
voice.
facial
I don't even know if
expressions.
the mouth moves.
The mouth very, very little.
And you just hear the voice again, like, what is it? Why do you deny your fate, your purpose?
Yeah,
Again, just this very, like, what?
yeah.
Like, we're,
In that
it's
creepy
this whole time
voice.
it's just been talking about, like, your vessel, and we're becoming one.
Yeah,
Why are you denying your
destiny, your
purpose?
purpose.
And it's just
Yeah.
like, what? Oh, but then you're kind of like, and then it seems to, like, fade away, just kind of, like, decrystallize, like the Akashic
Yeah.
that we fought before, just disappear, and you're kind of like, all right. Run back to Sid. He's like coughing up blood. You see even more blood, and like now you know, like,
Yeah.
oh, he's dying.
Yeah,
like he's dead.
Yeah, this is the moment where he pulls out the cigar.
Oh, okay, this is
I
it.
think-
Yeah, now
yeah.
he's like, oh,
Yeah,
I
this
got
is-
one left.
Yeah.
You're like,
I
what,
think
like a
that's what it
cig?
is, where it was like, yeah, now this is his last.
Lights it. He like takes a puff, and the theme plays, right? The music. You're choking up here at this point, man. Like,
I've watched it 4 or 5 times, and even replaying it the other night, sitting next to Tina,
just like-
and was like, "Oh, she doesn't look over." I'm like, "I'm not
Yeah.
crying."
I'm not
I'm
like
not crying.
one of those like if
I
you had
thought I
to
wasn't-
talk, it would have like
Yeah,
you would
I-
have started tearing. You're like,
I thought rewatching it was like the 3rd or 4th time I'm watching it. And I was like, it's probably not gonna hit me because I haven't played in like a month. You know, I haven't even played. I played
You're
the
a little bit
hour
more
before at
detached
all.
from
So
it, yeah.
I'm detached. And at that moment it hit, and I still was like, damn it, Sid. Damn it, 16. You keep doing it to me.
what? Yeah.
Every time I say I love this character, just turn around and you're gonna
You're
be
like, are
fine.
they doing it? Are they
Oh,
gonna
then
freaking
this
do
is
it?
where, yeah, this is where Clive's like, you're gonna be fine. We'll find a healer, and Sid's like, healer in
Here? Like, no, we're not, dude.
No, I'm done.
Yeah, gives his dying remarks then,
Yeah.
and is basically like,
Clive, for so long, I thought I had all the answers. But then I met you. And I learned it wasn't a good death we should be fighting for, but a better life. It's all very well, a man reclaiming his fate. But if he can't choose how he meets it, what's the point? So, I made a choice.
So a good life, not a good death.
Not only is he dying, but he has some awesome, powerful words.
Yeah.
Right.
That again, they're just
like
hitting
like,
you home. He's just like, we gotta fight. Fight back, actually. Yeah. So then you're like, no, you can't die now.
Yeah.
Like, because he just changed your mind.
Then he kills you even more with...
The rest is in your hands. The crystal's blessing is a prison, Clive. And if it's an outlaw the world needs to help it break free, stop. Please. I can think of none better than you.
Well, actually, so then what happens is he goes, so I made a decision. And then that's when he grabs Clive's hand.
Oh, yeah.
And brings it to him and gives Clive his powers.
Yeah.
So a little bit different, because before, how he stole Garuda's power, I don't even think he technically touched her. He went to reach out.
Yeah.
And, like, absorbed it.
Yeah.
Unintentionally.
Mm-hmm.
This time is a little bit more like Sid is, like, allowing Clive to, like, take it. So I just made a quick note. It didn't... Because if you remember before, Clive is writhing on the ground when he gets Garuda's powers. To the point you're like, is he dying?
Yeah.
This, he just seems to take it.
He seems like he's kind of crying, but it's more of like he's already been like kind of crying because he knows like Sid, like this is it. If he takes his powers, like Sid is dead.
So I think it's a little bit more just like you're just
it's not screaming in pain. It's just kind of crying at this point.
Yeah, he's already in a different like pain, right? Yeah, and just great voice acting by both as Sid is just going, thinking like saying basically like I'm passing the torch to you, and Clive like cries out. And again, you just can't help but feel it.
Oh.
You're just like,
and we said in the earlier episodes that Ben Starr deserves to win an award. Well, it was just announced, I believe it was today. He won a Golden Joystick or whatever award for Best Lead Performing Actor.
So
he did win an award for this.
Yes,
so it's not just us saying he's great.
Yep.
He won an award. He's fantastic.
Absolutely deserving.
And here, especially,
is another great example of
literally
it.
Cries out, and it 100% sounds like he was.
I was just gonna say,
I wouldn't doubt he was crying in the
that's exactly how it sounds, right?
It sounds
just
fantastic.
Oh man,
and heartbreaking and hard not to get. I get choked up just talking.
I know,
about it,
right?
Man.
Thinking about it, this is crazy. Yeah,
another great moment in this.
I just had the
same.
It's
funny. It's like we really haven't had Sid that much.
And this
right?
is
he hasn't been in the party a ton.
Moment now, like it's kind of funny when you first play it, you're like, whoa. You replay it and you're like, we did one or two things with Sid, lose him for a little bit, and now we just did this one last place, and we really didn't even we just had him in the mine. We didn't get him the whole time you're helping out the game. You didn't have Sid with you, so it's like
he's not running around doing side quests with you very much.
Not a whole lot. So you did have him. Yeah,
there's a lot of scenes with him. He's kind of revolved around it, but like just enough. Like we're saying, with all those little scenes and all the banter back and forth, where like you get to be like
they seem to really because like you have the brothel and like right before the mines, you just have these couple of scenes where you're just like, oh, I love their banter. Like Sid is a great character, and I love how Sid and Clive work together. They totally make you love him.
Yeah.
And then they just kill him off, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
Oh. So now you're trying to just to process all of that. And then I have the voice comes back.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden, you just hear, in the voice, denial. This is how you want to waste like your will. And it's like again, like everything. I literally wrote down everything like the voice has said because it is just such like.
I'm glad you did because I forgot
mysterious
and it's so fantastic every time he says it.
I will say after playing and beating the game, coming back. and knowing what you know, and like
Yes,
his
it makes a
lines,
lot more sense.
Yes, everything he says is like
At
makes
this point,
sense.
you're really confused, and you're like, "This guy's talking straight up gibberish." I don't
Yeah,
know.
but now like
But
when you know,
when
you know,
yeah, when you know, you're like, "Oh, it makes so much sense."
So yeah, so now he's like talking about like you're denying, you know, like your fate. He said before, like you're denying it. And he's like, this is how you waste like your will. And then I have all of a sudden this like blue pillar of fire like appears. It's like bluish, almost blackish. Just boom, like appears.
Yeah, huge like explosion starts flying towards.
And there's
Jill
another
and
line
Clive.
that the voice says, and it's you will learn like your place in like
Basically, grand scheme.
You will learn your place in this grand scheme. And then the fire just comes at you guys, at Jill and Clive,
and like hits them.
It's literally like they are engulfed by it.
Yeah.
I think Clive kind of embraces like Jill a little bit, protects her.
Tries to protect her,
Torgal,
but-
I think, like jumps in front,
Yeah.
but it's like they get hit by it.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Which this still is a question to me, because now we'll get into this next part now. See a arm, I think, is all you see at first.
Yes.
Right? You just see the arm out.
Little
The
recognizable
brown sleeve
coat,
to it, and
the
a glove.
Yep.
A black glove. And a fireball, I think.
Or it's like a fire wall then.
Wall
like,
comes up and like
blocks.
like negates then the
Yes.
other one, right? So
Yep.
they both like fizzle out then
Yeah.
into nothing. And
And you see,
you see the
hooded
man, the hooded man.
Yeah,
right?
right. Yep.
Longer blondish, reddish hair. He's got blue eyes, whatever. Yeah, you see him walk forward and
And then he does walk up. They're like laying down, Clive, Jill, and then they're kind of unconscious. And he walks up to Torgal and is like, "Oh, you remember me, boy?"
yeah.
So now this is again them not spelling it out, but now it's
You're like,
you
this
know
has
who
gotta be
this is.
Joshua,
This
right?
is Joshua.
That's right. He walks up then to Clive and he goes, "I'm sorry, Clive, if I would have been
Oh,
but
if
a
I got
moment
here just
sooner."
a minute sooner, right?
Yeah.
And then like, "Oh, Torgal, you remember me?"
Yeah.
And then after he says hi to Torgal, he like walks up and he's like, "I know you're there, Ultima."
I know you're there.
Ultima.
And then the voice I have, it now finally speaks so that you understand.
You have learned our name. What else have you learned, Phoenix?
Now you can understand it. And
Again,
it's
he
like
comes from like the void again. He just like appears from out of nowhere.
this is weird, like I would
As
say
he says
before
it.
it's like a black hole dark. This is like a weird blue crackling. He like appears out of. It's like different. And I wanted to make like a little note of that.
That's true.
There's like a little noise and a little like appears differently. But you hear the voice and again it's just like great. It's you can tell it's like a blend of like a voice or two. It seems like there's like a higher and lower kind of like meshing going on. And it's like this monotone, emotionless, creepiness. You just really like how I like how it sounds and how it like comes across. Not like roar, I'm dark and scared, but just like
There's something about the emotionlessness to it
that is like
terrifying.
terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
That you're just like, what is this thing?
Yeah. Like,
And it again appears from this like a little bit different of like a warp thing, you know, this blue crackling thing.
It's just humanoid enough.
And
too.
yes, that's like I
think
think
it's
the
like-
thing that it's just like
It's alien, but it's like just human enough that is
is
like,
it? Like, yeah.
what is this thing? Person? What is this?
So then
Creepy
again,
as all.
it appears and it's not dead.
Yeah.
So you're like, what the fuck?
It's like
And
twice
it's
it's
kind
been
of
killed,
like holding like its neck, like, it didn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
And it has, I think it just says, Ultima, as we just learned, says, like, oh, like, you've learned my name. Like, what else do you know?
Yeah,
Almost
I
cocky.
love how he says it though. He's like that with the neck thing, and he's like, "What else have you learned of us, Phoenix?"
Yeah.
Like Phoenix.
And the way he
Like,
kind
the
of says
way he
Phoenix
says-
again, his like connotation
It's
with it,
so
like Phoenix, like
Phoenix.
what are you inferior? Like what are you doing here?
emphasizes it. Also very familiar.
Yes, like Phoenix. Yeah,
Like,
again,
we
it's
meet
just so-
again, Phoenix.
Yep.
It's almost
It's
like
like,
that.
yeah.
Like, what are you doing here?
So he kind of chimed. Joshua responds then basically just like, I'm like, I've learned, like my travels have like taught me a lot. I've learned a lot, like about you. He's like, and I know like you want my brother's power.
Yeah.
So again, now you know. he calls him Phoenix. He calls Clive his brother. Yeah. This is Joshua.
This is Joshua. Absolutely.
He has been doing something this whole time to stop whatever this thing is.
And this thing is what caused Clive to... Now we don't know, like, did he give Clive Ifrit?
Yes.
At this point, right? You're right. Like, all we know is he's the reason for Phoenix Gate's incident.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Because he also says, and I know that you're the reason that I was torn from my brother.
He's like,
you're the one who tore me from my brother.
Yes, he says that. Yes,
so
you're
like,
the one who tore me from my brother, and you're after his power.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh.
So here we go.
Oh,
this is what we're talking about, the big drop. This is like, oh, this is the main villain.
Yes. So so now we have the main villain, and it's Ultima. I thought that was so fitting.
So cool. Because we've had an Ultima since
2. I think 2, the spell is like, that's like a thing. You have to like go.
Yeah, 2 is the first
Ultima spell.
Yeah, but I mean, like as a monster, I think
Ultima
6
weapon.
I think 6
they
have
did
as a Ultima weapon.
Like retrograde it. So like now if you go and play like let's say like the iPhone versions of like 4, there is like an Omega Ultima weapon.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But
the original version, I'm pretty sure 6 had
at least 6.
Like towards an end boss. I want to say 6 had ultimate weapon as a fight.
So it's a little interesting. It's a little different. Yeah, normally it's Ultima like weapon, ultimate weapon. Yeah. This is just Ultima.
Yeah.
Which I thought was almost better.
Yeah.
Because you kind of go, Ultima is this spell. It's like it's always like the strongest magic. And then you always have like, it's also like almost one of the strongest monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, but like a reoccurring theme in Final Fantasy. And you're like, that makes so much sense to have it be like the bad guy, like the main villain.
I was just thinking it too, like his the way he talks, his look. And then later on, we find out his whole grand scheme. We already found out a good portion of it here. Like, he's the one who's behind all of this for 13 years at least. He's been working on his plan.
To get whatever Clive's power is.
Yeah, so, like, he is fantastic. And I'm like, I think he might be up there also in top 5 favorite villains.
I think so, too. Yeah, because, again,
the
more you learn about him...
the more I'm like, I don't think he beats Sephiroth, and nobody's going to be able to beat Sephiroth, but
right.
he's right up there, and I think he's up there with his plan and all of that, and he's creepy and powerful like
Jenova and Sephiroth.
Every iteration of Jenova that you fight, he is up there in creepiness. His voice acting is fantastic. He's as crazy as Kefka, but not quite in the same Joker style crazy.
Right. And he's as weird, just whatever, as like Jenova, like whatever Jenova is, whatever Ultima is, right up there.
And then as those are like my top villains.
Yeah, and then as like HUUGE, you start to learn now going forward how methodical he is, and like what his grand scheme is, and how like it's like up there with Aizen then in Bleach, where you're just like, dude just thought of everything. Yeah. Like crazy.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
But
I mean, this is the big moment. This is like you learn everything pretty much that you need to not necessarily, but like the big part of what's moving forward.
Right, yes. So Ultima, calls out to like Joshua, like, what else did you learn? Mm-hmm. Joshua kind of explains, like, you tore me from my brother.
Oh, as he's doing that, he's throwing fire blasts at him, right? And Ultima's just blocking them like they're nothing.
And then he's like, you tore me away from my brother. Like, he's like, I know you're after his power. And he's like, you're going to have to get through me, and makes like an enormous fireball.
No.
Throws it
hellfire,
at him.
like.
Yeah, right? And it's like, so that's where I have a note, like, pay attention how strong Joshua is here. He blocked away that fire. He's launching fireballs, like, huge at Ultima.
One-handed, mind you.
Yeah, one-handed.
Not even moving. Yeah, he's like,
you really will leave my brother alone. Like, boom. Yeah. Ultima just blocks it like it's nothing. So, again, just awesome scene. Ultima starts firing back at Joshua. He fires like a blast, and he blocks it like a little force field.
Yeah.
And this is where Ultima goes.
A disturbance.
Yeah.
Very interesting line. I feel like you're kind of, now it kind of goes over your head.
Yeah.
Keep that in the back of your mind going way, way forward.
We had a long discussion before we started recording, but we can't really talk about it until way later.
So, guys, stay tuned for next episodes. Yep.
Yeah. Way down the line, but very important. Also going too with how Joshua was saying it as well. Another aspect when Joshua was saying there was a disturbance, feeling it when Ifrit was fighting Garuda.
He does say that, yeah. He's like, he's like, so the disturbance like was like, yeah, Clive or something, yeah.
Yeah, so you think it's Clive, but now he mentions it.
But now Ultima says it kind of to Joshua.
Phoenix. Yeah.
They're kind of like, we're getting nowhere.
Yeah,
with
I think
this.
Ultima
like,
says this is getting us nowhere.
So then all of a sudden he kind of warps.
Oh no, Joshua says that, and then he goes, we agree.
He's like, we've come to claim our vessel, and teleports behind like Joshua, you know, closer to Clive. And then Joshua is like, he's like, I thought I told you, like, you're not getting to him. And earlier he kind of laid out some like phoenix feathers.
Back to Bleach, dude.
Dude,
it's
right?
Ishida. Remember Ishida's move, and he's got all the like. He always has his things pointed out.
He does where he like launched like his arrows in a
makes
perfect
the, like,
way.
Pentagram or whatever, so that
so it's like same thing. Like all of a sudden these like phoenix feathers are like laid out, and this just like they all start. You know, fire comes from them. It's like this cage ball enwraps Ultima in like these flames. Ultima's like talking shit. He's like,
these flames are nothing. You will know what it is to burn.
Yours is a fleeting form. I'm not fool enough to think I can harm you. But to protect my brother, I don't have to.
And then Ultima has another line. Like everything Ultima says, bro, is
this whole scene is very.
You have to like think about. He's like,
these are not flames of destruction.
Have you forgotten already who I am?
And so at first you're thinking to me, you're like Phoenix, healing, like also heals. Yeah, these aren't like destroying flames.
Right.
A little bit later, there's something else that comes into play. I'm just gonna say, you know, instead of healing, what's the opposite of destroying?
Yeah.
Creation. So let that, just keep that in the back of your head. And then just proceeds to like absorb the fires, like the cage with Ultima in it, inside of his like chest.
Yeah.
Like seals him away.
Yeah.
And is like, try to get to my brother now, as he's like, whoa,
yeah.
It's like, I did, yeah, take them. Oh my god, I'm dying. Like,
yeah.
So then you're like
immediately showing that this is going to take a toll on his body for absorbing.
Yeah. So you're like,
but
what?
also like, huh?
Yeah. Huh?
That was
and then
so much
all of a sudden the
in
place just starts collapsing around you. Giant rocks just start like falling down. So now you're like, does he get out of that? Does Clive and Jill get out of that?
Yeah.
What just happened?
As it's happening, though, this is where it goes to Clive's perspective, and he sees Joshua.
Oh, that's right. I did forget. So during the cage thing,
some point in all of this fighting, you see Clive, and I think it's actually when it's falling, and he's holding a phoenix feather in his hand, and then he looks over and he sees like the back of Joshua.
Right.
And he's like, and he just says, Joshua?
Before he like,
but then he kind of like passes
faints
out
again. But like, it's
but
just
then you just
enough
see
Clive...
everything just fall down, and then it just black screen.
Yeah,
right.
But it's just enough to give you like, Clive saw Joshua. Yeah. He knows he's alive. Like, oh my gosh, you're like, you just want to scream like, he's right there, dude. He's not dead.
No, it's been 13 years.
You didn't kill your brother. You know, we're still wondering like that. You know, right? How is he alive?
Deep breath, right? Like,
yeah,
that was
so like you're saying goes to black screen, but we see the view of like the city now.
Oh yes,
and the giant mother crystal just
I was getting ahead of myself. I was going to go
disappears.
into this one. Yeah,
and you see everybody panicking, running around, and it's like, oh, that's right, that's what happened. So the place is kind of shaking and falling apart, right?
Yeah.
Then black screen, right? So then you're kind of trying to.
I keep thinking we're doing the jump yet, but there's still one more. Yeah, we go to.
So as you're trying to decompress all of this, hey, there's another scene here.
Yeah, it goes. Meanwhile, basically.
Meanwhile,
back at the hideaway, everybody's just running for their lives, getting slaughtered.
Yep, you're just seeing people just getting cut down left and right. And if you look closely enough, like you can recognize the people.
Yeah.
Like there's one part where one guy gets like it's like cut. That's the like your first quest. Your first like guy at the bar you talk to, who's like, hey, hand out food. You can you can see him just get like cut down. So now
rough.
And then
Yeah,
it
I
comes
see all
to
of
comes to this guy.
Then you see the
who's-
same guy in the end of the last one we were talking about.
If you remember, the tragedy at Eastpool, after everybody was slaughtered and you leave, it shows a guy spying on you, basically saying like,
"Go ahead, rats, lead me to your
nest."
or
Like,
your nest, yeah,
Kupka's got a message for you.
yeah.
So
you're
if you remember this whole time
shit.
that you had Clive, Jill, and Sid leave the hideaway, the three strongest people, their dominance, right? They could fight back. Leave the hideaway, left it exposed. That whole time you're dealing in Oriflame now. Kupka, and if you remember, pissed off about the box, Benedicta's death.
Yeah, blaming Sid for it.
Sid getting blamed for it. Tracks the hideaway down and is just killing everybody.
Oh.
It comes back to that guy, like the spy.
Yeah, and he's like, find
like,
Sid, we're all fucking dead.
Yeah, freaking out, just cutting people down. Like,
can't
he had an
fail Kupka
interesting
again.
line, I can't fail him again.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot more history with who this guy is. Maybe it'll come out in some book backstory, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe something that just had to get cut. But there's definitely seemed like there's more history with
unless
who this
at
guy is.
Eastpool he was supposed to kill Sid there and like,
And
didn't
that
know where he was, and it was like, oh, that's a failure because you didn't.
That could be.
So
That could
maybe
be.
that's
Yep.
what he's
Yeah.
referencing, but so then it jumps though
to
into
Gav.
Sid's chamber where Gav is running into there, and then that same guy comes in,
Bursts in the door,
Yeah.
cuts one dude like in front of Gav,
Yeah.
and then Gav like falls down, and he like basically he like takes a hack at Gav,
Yeah.
but like misses and takes his eye,
It just gets his eye.
and Gav real quick.
Gav pulls out real quick a little side dagger, and jabs him then in the heart.
So luckily,
That guy goes down.
Takes that SOB out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like cut up. He's like
Bleeding.
screaming. I think Tarja comes in and is like, "We gotta go."
Yeah.
And Gav,
Gav, we need
real
to go.
quick,
Like, not without this.
which I think we kind of forgot to mention.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, bring
before you left to Oriflame, when Clive is like agreeing to join Sid kind of is basically like, hey, like we have to take down the crystals. So he like stabs a crystal.
Yeah, he was holding a
Little
dagger the
shard.
whole time and stabs the shard that he was explaining, like, this, how crystals work to you, right? This is
so he's basically like, are you with me? Clive takes another little dagger, stabs it in there, and is
Right.
I'm with you. Like, let's take down these crystals.
It was like they're a sign of a pact.
Yeah.
Right? It was like,
Gav makes a little comment like, you could have just said yes, but like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at his point, he sneaks into like the solar. And he's like, we're not leaving without this. Like, it's a sign, it's a big thing, kind of.
Yeah, it's a big symbol.
Thank you,
and also of that we are fighting back. We're not just. Yeah.
So he like risks his life like to just grab this thing. Tarja's pulling him out. It goes to
I think it shows like as they're limping outside now.
Yes,
right?
they're like, it looks
shows
like they're
they made
outside,
it outside of the
now.
hideaway.
It goes to like these two guards or whatever, the guys who are like, invading, and are like should we tell Kupka? And then the guy kind of looks up and is
Sid's
like,
not among.
Sid's not here. Should we like tell Kupka or something? And he's like,
Oh God, keep you.
I don't think we need to. And like looks up and you see Titan then.
Oh.
And just
By the
stomping on
way,
the mountain,
the last
basically.
ones we said Titan is the size of mountains. No, he's bigger than mountains because here he stands up,
literally
towering over the mountain and punching and destroying the mountain.
And now you're just like, everybody is dead. Like if you're not out, they're dead.
Yeah.
And then Gav just cries out. He's like, Sid, where the hell are you?
Fuck me! Where the hell are you, Sid? Where the hell are you?
Yeah.
And there's another moment where like you get a little choked up because not only is he not here, not only is everybody dying, he's dead.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, he maybe a good thing. He dies without knowing what happens to the hideaway now.
Right.
So he has no idea that everybody just.
At this point, we're
slaughtered.
like, is Clive even alive?
Yeah, because we just saw
Right?
the whole
We just saw the whole
building.
building.
So now
Clive and Jill.
So again,
alive?
yeah,
You're
he
like,
goes.
What is happening?
It goes like,
dead.
Sid, where the hell are you? Screen goes black.
Yeah.
And you're just like, Did everybody just die?
Yeah.
Or we did?
That was so much to take in right there. This was all in like a 10-minute scene.
Right, like a maybe little bit
this
longer,
whole thing
but-
is like 40 minutes to an hour or so of
Because
gameplay that you can't stop. It's just
From
go,
the
go,
moment
go,
of
go.
like approaching the heart,
Yeah, and then
destroying
that whole-
it, the fight with Typhon.
I literally had Ares do it before earlier today, and it took
All
him
these
40
scenes.
minutes to do. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, we're not done because it goes right
Yep.
into more scenes. But
So there's actually more
I
scenes, but I think it's going to be a good time to take
yeah,
a break.
Yeah. Before the camera decides to turn off on
let-
us here,
yeah,
make
let-
sure we got battery and everything.
Let that
sink
in
We got
for a
we got
moment
just
here.
a little bit more that we're going to go into, but we're going to talk a lot more than about what just happened after this break.
Yes.
So
Don't go anywhere.
yeah, be right back. All right, so
Back again.
yeah, so that was a lot to take in, but the black screen comes back now, and it says we're in
So not done with scenes
somewhere.
yet.
Yeah, somewhere in Dalmekia,
Yeah, I think it says
right?
Costness, and in Dalmekia.
Okay.
And it kind of
And-
pans down.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything else yet, right? Just pans down.
People walking kind of like in the streets, the markets.
Yeah.
And eventually you find what appears to be Clive and Jill with their hoods up, walking.
Yeah, sneaking through this.
Kind of, yeah, looking like they're kind of sneaking around.
One little detail should mention though. So everybody's like yelling. It's like a market, so everybody's yelling for selling things, and you hear this little girl yelling, like,
Calmatives, curatives, restoratives.
and then comes up to Jill and says it, and Jill basically says like, "No, thank you, don't need those." And, okay, whatever. And she runs off. Seems very minor, but another one of those little things that playing through, you're like, "Oh, okay." So.
And I will say, like, there's a lot of talk on, like, the internet about this medicine girl. It's
Yes.
not spoiling much. She pops up again.
Apparently, there's like a huge backstory on her in the Ultimatum,
Yeah, that's what it was. There's
where
like
everybody's
really
like really confused. They're like, "Why is there such a huge
such-
backstory?" But,
Yeah.
So
So it's just kind of one of these
that's
things
all it
where
is, though. She
you,
just
you see her here and just kind of make a note of it. I don't
Yeah.
really know if it is important or not,
yeah.
but
I think I remember
May or may not be.
having a conversation with you though. It actually becomes fairly important in the main story towards the end of the game.
yes, yeah.
But she is, yeah, just that's all it is. Just this little girl. You would probably brush it off as nothing and probably forget about her, other than the fact that she has a very distinct ointments, curatives, restoratives.
Yeah, her lines, voice,
Says it like
whatever,
10
yeah.
times in the-
Oh god, yeah, it's just enough for you to be like,
Yeah.
shut up.
So, anyways, they're walking through these streets, and then they enter this building where it appears they were meeting up with this some guy.
Yep, and now at this point, it does say, on like the side,
Oh, this is where it says it.
5 years later.
Yeah. So now you're like, what the fuck?
Whoa, you're just like, whoa.
First off, how did we get out of there?
Yep. Where's
Joshua?
Where's Ultima? Or I mean, I guess he's he's sealed away, but like, what's
Yeah, you're like,
the story on
okay. What the? Yeah,
that? The
I
hideaway
just-
just got destroyed.
Yeah.
Are we trying to get back there? Are we?
just we're just gonna jump 5 years.
Yeah.
What are we doing in Damekia?
Yeah,
How's it
right.
5 years later? Also, seems like nothing's like immediately we're just like nothing happened. Like, we're not gonna address any of that.
Yeah, right? Like,
Just gonna jump 5 years later, and now there's just a billion more questions after you just made a billion questions.
yes, yeah.
This is the one part in the game where I immediately was like, all right, I don't
don't
like
know.
this. I don't like this. I hope they explain it. They do slightly.
I would
Slowly
say slowly and surely they do
explain it.
explain a lot.
I will say I don't like the explanation.
I think the
Very
more
much.
the more we have
I
talked
kind of
about
get
it,
it, but the more I just
5 years just feels too much.
yeah. I think what I would have liked. I mean, there's some things here. Well, it's mostly what I kind of want to get at this point. I think what we were talking about earlier. I think what I would have liked is after you agreed to help Sid, and he tells you about the mother crystals, that
Yeah.
there would have been maybe like a 3 or 4 year gap then. Right, where you're working now, you've been trying to save bearers with Sid.
You just agreed to his cause. Like, yeah, we're going to help the bearers, and it kind of jumps and, like,
and,
you fill in the
like,
gap. We've been
we
helping
need to get
bearers.
these mother crystals, but it's like we don't have a way to get to them because they're all in capitals in heavily guarded places. There's no way for us to get to them. We got to devise a plan.
And then it would be a couple years later, and then that would make more sense about Sambrek being like, our lands are, like, all to the Blight.
Yes.
You know, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's why, you know, a couple more years later, they're like, we need more land.
Yes.
Why they invade to the south.
Yes. Then you would hear about
which
this.
Which would be your opportunity
you to go do, and then that would be all what happens. The other part of it is, we find out shortly here, and, like, Jill and Clive are really always talking about Sid. And, like, how much they miss him and everything, and how much they really, like, meant to them. And you're like, okay, it couldn't have been more than like a month or something. Like they were together.
That they
right?
actually were.
It really wasn't much time. Like you meet Sid, you do 2 places with Clive, and then Jill wakes up, and then you do 1 place with Jill and Sid together.
Yeah, technically, Jill and Sid together were like just that last crystal mine place.
So you're like, I don't know how long it takes for them to travel from hideaway to place to place.
You know, right? Yeah,
but like that couldn't have been that long, and they're like 5 years later now, and you're still
now
like,
they spent more time without him than they ever did with him.
Yeah,
so
and it's like so if they would have spent like 3 years or something, or 4 years
before he dies, yes,
and then everything that just happened, now and the hideaway's destroyed and everything, then give us like a year maybe, maybe the 2 years. And now we've fixed the hideaway, and now we're in this position without Sid, and we've had to do it without.
Right,
but now it'd be like it meant so much more to them with having Sid.
Yeah,
I just 5 years was a lot.
Yes, there's
a lot of time, and we find out nothing has happened.
Yes,
other than fixing the hideaway. I jumped a little bit there,
but that's agreed. Yeah, 5 years just feels a little too long.
Yeah,
like a year or two.
Yeah.
Year or two gap would like make sense, but
so
it says it's 5 years. You're a little jarred by that.
Yeah.
So we come back to the house. Clive and Jill look like they're talking like with somebody. You know, a guy who like helping the cause.
Yeah.
You know,
who calls Clive Sid?
Another
at this point.
question. He starts calling. Yeah, people start calling Clive Sid now.
Yeah.
So now you're like
he's Sid the Outlaw. They call
you're
him.
like just. You don't even have like time to question it. You're just so confused.
Yeah,
like, I don't even know. They're gonna explain it. I just got to keep watching.
Yeah.
The guy proceeds to talk about how there are bearers rounded up somewhere as a trap to lure Clive, Sid, the outlaw, out. And who is behind that is like Kupka and his men.
Yeah.
So now you kind of realize...
So like, okay, it's been 5 years and Kupka is still chasing after...
Sid. Air quotes. Right, so you're like... so you're like... Yeah, a couple... just questions like there real quick. You're like... Okay, they're still chasing after... there's... Kupka still got beef. He's still... even after destroying the hideaway, still like chasing after them using bearers, as like a trap. So they kind of go back and forth, like, okay, we got to rescue these guys. No, Clive, you can't go, But then it's like he just decides to end up.
Yeah, he doesn't even like say anything. He just keeps staring at the guy, and the guy's like, "Damn it, you're more stubborn than the old Sid."
Yes.
And so then you're like, "Oh, okay, I kind of get now."
Okay.
I think he's just taking on Sid's name.
Yeah.
They know he's not Sid.
They do, as he kind of like leaves away. I think he does say something about like living up to Sid's name or like Sid's name, so you do kind of piece that together. He just kind of
he's like, okay, he took over Sid's name
because which I guess if you think about it makes
Clive is a very I just thought of Clive is a very literal person. We gathered that with the whole sword joke.
Yeah, right.
So I can imagine Sid being like, I didn't mean literally take me over.
Yeah, like,
literally take my name.
Take
Clive.
my name, yeah.
I
but it kind of makes sense because Sid
has,
you understand, he's got like a network of people.
Right.
These allies that it makes sense that, Sid instead of being like this whole new person.
Plus, I guess it does kind of make sense that you wouldn't want Clive to come out as Clive Rossfield still.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's
he
a
still
little.
wants to be hidden as that. So
I think that's a
take
little
over
part of
Sid
it.
as his name.
Yeah.
So he's a little hiding. That could be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That part makes a little more sense.
But again, it's just
I'm
getting
not as
all thrown
upset.
at you very
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this part was the only time.
So then, yep, you're gonna go to this spot to go free these bears who are being trapped by Kupka's men.
Jump right to it.
And again, yes, it jumps right to it now. Which again, I felt like I would have liked to have a little control of Jill and Clive here.
Can we stop and save?
And stop and
It's
save.
been like
it is
an hour.
still going.
Yeah.
And again,
Haven't
like
been able to
another little
stop.
area to explore the city for like
Yeah.
a little bit. Just seems like a really good
Some
spot
sort
to
of
take
even
a
like
breather.
mini game type thing.
Oh,
of sneaking through the back streets to have to
Mhm.
get there. Like,
Yeah.
I've realized some of the older Final Fantasies had those
Little-
where there's like mini games from time to time, and like they haven't really had anything.
Definitely
like that.
not. Yeah.
I always kind of am like, what's the point in these? But it does break up the monotony.
14 does like a good job of that. There's a lot of like little random things. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
you have to like sneak around or do this or that. Yeah.
Like if you think 7 does kind of do that quite a, have the like
let alone actual
when
mini
the
games,
when the girl
snowboarding
in
and motorcycle.
in Junin is passed out and you got to do like even ones like that.
Where it's
you
like
gotta
they're
do,
almost dumb. But
Yeah,
like,
you're like
it's
this
just
is kind of dumb. But
thing, it would make sense here again if we just had to sneak
some
around.
sort of
and
sneaking.
a little
aspect.
stealthy. Yep.
As much as I dislike 15, 15 had a couple moments like that I'm thinking of.
Right. Yeah. That you had to like nighttime and sneak around, not get caught.
Yeah.
But again, I get it. Grand picture of things, this would be another like slowing down moment, but like it just seems like it would fit.
It would have kind of been.
So then again, it just jumps to scene continues. Can't control them. Again, you're kind of up somewhere looking down at like the bears. They're all trapped. There are these guards. The bears are like
some sort of arena looking.
Yeah, more like an arena kind of open area looking thing. And the bears are like, please, like, let us go, whatever. And one guard just, like, socks him in the face. And it's like, you're helping, already, or something.
Oh, yeah.
And another, you're just like, damn.
We can help. I think
savage.
they say, we can help you or something. Yeah, and he, like, drops one.
Drops him, dude.
You're already helping.
This old dude's like, oh, he didn't mean anything by it. Like, we're sorry. So you're like...
I'll wager he thinks as highly of his minions' traps as we do.
Then this should be easy.
Don't hurt us. I beg of you.
Quiet means quiet, branded scum.
And yeah, they all look at Clive and they're like, it's Sid the Outlaw. So you're like...
Oh, I think they go, who is this guy? And then he shows off lightning in his hand. And they're like, it's the lightning. It's him. It's Sid the Outlaw. And then they're like, get him.
Which I thought was interesting. Sid's lightning is more purple, if you noticed.
Oh.
Clive, when he does it, his lightning, it was more like white.
Oh.
I don't know if you noticed that
at all. No, not really, but now that you say that, it kind of makes,
And then did you catch the line Clive says? When he shows his lightning, he goes,
I'm here to even the odds. Any objections?
It's him, the outlaw. Sid's here.
And does that sound familiar at all?
Doesn't he say that earlier?
Sid says it when he jumps in that fight. We talked about earlier. He jumps in that fight to, like, you're on your way to save Gav, and there's like a dragoon and a dragon.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
All of a sudden, backup like shows up. Sid takes care of like the backup. He's doing the same thing, like flexing his lightning, and he's like, "I'm here to even the odds. Any objections?"
I'm here to even the odds. Any objections?
So Clive says the same thing,
I
kind
didn't
of
catch
doing
that.
the same thing. Yep,
That's good.
I noticed that one. Yep. See if anybody else noticed that one out there.
Yeah, it went over my head.
Yeah. So then, I think, right, you just, kind of flexes his lightning.
You fight like 2 rounds of
very easy.
All this is just a prompt to teach you now you have Ramuh.
You have Ramuh's moves.
So now you have 3 icon abilities.
Yes.
Which...
So we want to real quick go over them.
We'll go. I never cared for his circle.
I kind of agree.
I kind of get it, but it's just too slow.
Too slow, and it's just like, you've gotten very used to Phoenix's ability, the dash. Very used to Garuda pulling people to you.
Yes, and very fast snapping
very
abilities.
Fast,
right.
And...
Movement-based.
Movement-based, thank you. Where now, all of a sudden, your Ramuh's circle ability, it reminds me of...
Sort of slows time, but not very much.
Yeah. It's like in Kingdom Hearts, I think they first started in Birth by Sleep. You did like the shot lock or something, and then like again you locked onto targets and then you shot blast like at them. It's the exact same thing. You like you said, you kind of like slows time down, but like not.
But not enough.
You target to like lock on them, fire it. Doesn't really do anything until you hit them again.
Yeah.
It is kind of good.
And I think you have to hit them. If you hit them with a lightning ability, I think it chains it more. Or something,
it's something like if it's based on like the damage you do. So if you just do magic, it's not going to do much.
Gotcha.
But if you do like a physical attack or like your ability, it's going to do more.
Which his abilities though are pretty cool.
Yeah,
I started using some of those later.
So the thing kind of with that one is you can either put however many charges you have, 6, 7, 8, 9, on one person and watch it do. It does a little bit of stagger, does a little bit of damage, or you kind of do it to one person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is supposed to be a little bit of a stun lock. I think it does say Ramuh's abilities, basically they all knock down the enemy for longer. They're all on the ground and stunned for longer. I think that's kind of their point. So you kind of use that real quick to maybe get a bunch of people, hit them, stuns them real quick.
Could never really.
And you still didn't ever get how to really use it fluently in battle.
Yeah.
I only really used it at the start. When you're running up on a group, ding, 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 you get them all targeted.
Pretty much.
And then start it. An interesting thing, having the accessory equipped, the easy mode basically, if you will, where you just press square, he does everything. It worked it into the combos, like, frequently and quickly. Like, you would be attacking, and then all of a sudden it would lock on, shoot one or two, and then you, like, would dash at them.
So maybe it's not supposed to be a full
thing. You just, I think that might be the thing, is the
whatever.
real quick stun lock thing of it.
It's just
it's
like
supposed to be the point.
Just a tap.
It's almost like as you're
I would
attacking, you, like, did it.
I would
like,
accidentally do it thinking I was on Garuda or
that would be the
Phoenix,
worst, and then you'd get hit.
Yeah.
His other two abilities are awesome, and I pretty much used them the rest of the game.
Pile dive is one of them, right?
Yeah, so there's one and he just like...
Yeah, because his third ability is the one where he does the like ball.
Lightning round,
right?
Yep.
Lightning round. So yeah, pile dive I think is square.
Just stab
this is the one that I said...
Big area.
I said in I think it was the last episode, when Sid jumps up and like power punches the ground, and I was like, keep that thing in mind.
Yeah.
That's basically pile dive.
Yes, that's
like,
basically what he does. Yeah.
Except for you don't jump up, but you just like stab the ground with it.
The staff kind of thing,
Yeah.
lightning bolt like staff.
Boom, and it's big area.
You
it does a lot, and does a lot of stagger.
And yeah, big area, and you upgrade it, does just even bigger area. And that was the best thing I saw with it, is it could be, you could use it when they were like to stagger them, or you could also use it as they were staggered to still do a good amount of damage. So I liked the versatility with it.
Yeah, and how fast. That's when I started to like it, because it was really fast to get off.
Yeah, and
you
then
hit it and boom, it's
not a
off,
long cooldown either.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you can spam it. It's just all around good. Yeah. Then the next one, Thunderstorm, I believe Triangle starts as.
It's good. I just don't like how it starts.
Yeah, did you ever like hit them with it? So like he twirls the lightning bolt like staff. And if you're close to somebody, you actually hit them up with it.
Oh.
So that's supposed to be an extra couple little... So it has like a little second or two start. He twirls it around, and then like, then lightning comes down. And you can use that at like a distance. So like you can be a little way from somebody and shoot the lightning basically at them.
That's how I thought it was supposed to be.
Great damage. And...
I think it's a little less stagger than pile dive, but a little more damage.
Exactly. Right? And it takes a little bit, takes a second or two to shoot it, and then it takes a second or two. It's hitting them, and then just boom, damage. But that was the thing too. If you read the ability, it talks about that like if somebody's close by you, you basically can, if it's a small guy, you can hit them and knock them up with like your staff first, and then bring it down.
Yeah, I definitely never did that.
I loved using it with a couple of other moves. So like you would stagger them. Do that, and again, if you're really close right on top of them, those hits hit them. So you can stagger them, hit them a couple of times, shoot the lightning, and then you do like another move, like let's say Phoenix's like uppercut, and the lightning, because it takes that second or two to like do the last big damage, they go off at like the same time.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So you're doing like this move, it kind of takes a second or two, you switch and do another move, and it's just like boom, big damage. So like I loved, or doing that and then like ignition, the fire charge like move, like that, those two like worked really well together.
Yeah, I was never a huge fan though of the Ramuh abilities. It wasn't until like late game where I could level a couple of his abilities without having to have Ramuh equipped.
Yeah.
Because spoiler, we get more. I won't say which ones, but later, like as soon as we got the next one, I was like, yeah, I'm done with Ramuh.
I think I did the same thing with like the circle ability. And then that's the thing
ability.
is, once you master an ability, I don't know if we talked about it.
I think we did.
I think we did.
I can reiterate it.
You can put it on another one. Doesn't really apply now because you only have 3, and you basically have to have those 3.
Yeah.
Third ability, you can't equip it yet. I don't know if you could maybe go to the menu. Is Lightning Rod, and I did not use this one the entire game.
I didn't until
I kind of purposely
New
did
Game
this
Plus mode
with a couple of them, like that third one you get. I purposely like didn't use them because I knew I was gonna replay it. And I was like, that's how I'm going to make it different when I play it again, is I'm going to use these abilities.
Basically your new lineup.
Yeah. Great move.
I did broken with Will-O-Wisps. Remember from the last episode? The Ifrit ability. So you get the balls around you, and then you do this one, and then basically you lean forward and shoot a ball, and it like jumps you back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then anything that touches it, it does damage to them.
Sounds like a charge out. Yeah.
But if you damage the ball, it does even more damage. It does that damage, I think, to everything around it.
Yes.
So
I was very confused at it at first because it made it sound like it only worked when like the enemy hit it. So I thought the whole point was like you put this thing out to like orb for enemies, and then like you trick them into attacking it and hits them. I'm like, you would just rather like dodge.
You can taunt, but like
but then it was like, no, the whole idea was basically you hit it, and that damage is basically just like an area of effect damage.
Yeah.
So you can
it's
have
a lot of fun with the
it now.
Will-O-Wisps because like
it just
you do that on
hits
top
so
of them,
much.
and you're on top of them, and it's just hitting it constantly, and they're just like little guys.
And then they get like they kind of like little guys get like almost sucked into it, like almost. So I don't know, you lay that down and hack away at it, and all of a sudden everybody's getting just stun locked and
So it actually can be a lot of fun. Though.
It's a good move. Yeah, I didn't end up using it like at all, but then I was like, this is like one of my favorite moves.
Didn't really understand it at first, but with the right other abilities to combo it,
it can be pretty
really,
broken.
really good.
And then again, if you there's a couple of times where an enemy would do a big move, and if you lay this out, they just hit it, and then they just stagger themselves.
Yeah.
So there was a couple points it was just like just lay this out and you just So if you get really good with it, it can be broken.
Yeah. So anyways,
back to the little
couple
good
guys.
excuse to just do some Ramuh abilities, mess around with a little bit.
After the couple little guys though, then there's more. They run and they're like, forget it, set in the kitty. Send in the kitty.
Let them play with the kitty, right?
Yeah. Which then it's you fight a little boss, a war panther.
I would like kind of one of those. Like, it's like a mini boss basically. You kind of kick its butt and it doesn't feel too.
They can be tricky because they're kind of fast and leaping around a little bit. But
what I would have a lot of trouble with would be like they have like a delayed attack. Like they'll jump around and go to attack you, and it's this kind of like.
Yeah, you would think they would claw you
so
like
I'd always
real fast,
dodge
but it like
early and then get hit.
Then afterwards, the guards run away and they're like,
"No, screw this! Like, this guy's a monster."
I think they're basically like, "We're gonna go tell Kupka." And I think Clive's like, "Go ahead, I don't care."
Yeah, I think Jill says that like they're gonna tell Kupka, and he's like, "I don't care."
Yeah,
like whatever.
The
bearers. So when you went to go fight the guards, Jill, when Clive goes to fight the guards, Jill like helps the bearers escape. So you see them all leave the area. Jill and Clive go fight everybody. All of a sudden, the bears now come walking back. And you're kind of like, what? Like, we had you guys run away, right?
Murderer. All of our friends are dead because of you. Do you hear me? They used us as bait. Bait to lure you out of your stinking hole, all because you couldn't just let things be.
What are you even doing here? We never asked to be saved. Did you think we'd thank you? They'll never forgive us. We're all marked now.
They like curse you for helping.
They're basically saying everything because you've been trying to help people, now we've been put in even worse positions than we were before.
Like, it sucked before, now we're being held captive for traps because of you.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, just leave us alone.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't ask for your help.
Yeah.
And it's like this, again, just stomach, like, turn, you know, pit in your stomach feeling of like, oh my gosh, like, we just helped you guys and they're not even grateful for it. Like,
and Jill says that.
I think Jill calls it out. She's like, everything we have done is to, like, help you guys.
She specifies too we spent 5 years trying to better our kind. And this is, like, how you're going to repay us.
And then that's when, they're just like, we
nobody asked for your help.
Nobody asked for your help. Leave us alone.
Yeah. Anywhere you are, you just cause more trouble.
So I have just, like, it's hard to watch. It makes you, like, mad and sad. You know, you're sitting there like, oh, man.
Yeah. Then Clive is like, says to Jill, he's like, well, Sid said it wouldn't be easy.
Mm-hmm. He kind of just takes it. He literally, I think he just goes like, I'm sorry. And then just like walks away. And then they're all kind of like,
yeah. And she was kind of like, you're just going to let him do that? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sid said this wasn't going to be easy, and it's going to take time.
Right. I do have then here, so now it's been a little bit. You may notice Clive's got a little bit longer hair, a little bit more facial hair.
Yep.
His voice is like a little bit like more rugged. You might, kind of notice. It's been 5 years, so like they try to show him a little bit. Big thing.
Yeah.
If you picked up on, he doesn't have the bearer mark.
Yeah.
It's the little bit of a scar now there. They removed it. So I don't know if you maybe you noticed that. You might notice that in a little bit here. They meant, they make note of it.
Jill looks the same.
She does look, right? Yeah, that was kind of...
I tried to see if they made her, like,
her hair a little
skinnier
longer,
or something, her hair long. I don't think they changed her at all.
Try to age her a little bit, because, again, Clive looks just a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell if I saw a picture and be like, is this the before 5-year jump or after? I don't think
I agree, yeah.
It's a little bit of a...
So, then I have... so you just leave... from there, after, the bears are like, why did you even, like, help us? And you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
You actually finally get back to the world map.
Yes.
And...
Again, still can't save it.
Yeah. I was going to make a comment about this. I think every time you come to the world map, it autosaves. I am not 100% sure. So I think at this point, you could turn the game off and load autosave. You haven't been able to... I would like to think at some point in here there is like an autosave at one point.
I would hope between some of these scenes.
But you have not been able to manually save it yet.
Yeah.
I think I'd said this before. I think it's very weird. At the world map, you can't just open your menu. It's like on the world map, you can't save. There's no way to go to the menu and save.
Yeah,
so that's where I think it auto-saves every time you're on the world map.
At this point, because it just brings up world map, and just to basically show you where you're going now.
Yeah.
It's really all it is.
So all you can go to is the hideaway.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, okay.
What you notice is still very close. It's still like in the middle of the map, basically, but slightly off.
Exactly,
You might notice. It's just slightly off from it. You can also, I think, in the, like, you click on it and then, like, a scene pops up, but, like, as it's, I think, doing it, you can do the active time lore to kind of get a little bit more of what's going on.
Right. Again, always recommend doing that.
Yeah, it explains, I think, in there that they have spent the last 5 years rebuilding the hideaway, and they moved it to the middle of a lake.
Yep.
In what's called an airship. And if you paid attention, I don't know if we even covered it. It was such a small line. Way back in, like, going to the first place, going to Stillwater, I think, on your way.
Yeah.
After fighting Fafnir, and then going to Stillwater.
Yep.
Clive is like, what the heck was that back there? And Sid's like, oh, they call it an airship.
Because it's like, there's like, again, like the fallen ruins like sticking up out of the ground. And they're like, what is that?
Yeah.
So they called it like
So I don't know if you passed that there or something, but yeah, they call it, so now you turned an airship in the middle of a lake into the new hideaway.
Yeah.
So and they said so you strategically put it in the middle of the lake, still in the middle of the
Deadlands, right? The Blighted Lands or whatever, right?
Still in the middle there, but they put it in the lake specifically so that they could see an enemy coming from miles away.
Yep, any enemy incoming, you could see like any direction.
That's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure that's only in the lore, the active time lore.
I think so, yeah.
They don't really spell it out.
Again, because then you just see quick scene, Jill and Clive are in the little dinghy boat.
Yeah.
And again, in the middle of the water.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, what?
Yeah, like, I don't know where we're going. So if you did active time lore, it would explain a little bit better.
They just have a little conversation of... That night 5 years ago, We destroyed what for many was a symbol of hope. For a reason they'll never know. We cannot blame them for thinking us the cause of their misery. Though it's to give them a better tomorrow, they see only that we've made their lives harder today. Yet the boil must be lanced if it is to heal.
I can't help but wonder if we've made the right choice.
When Sid said that he wanted to create a world where we were free. Free to choose our own path. I honestly don't think it mattered to him if that choice was right or wrong. Only that it was our own.
I miss him.
A world where we can live and die as equals. That's what he wanted. What we want. And that's why I bear his name. It's why we've all chosen to bear his legacy. And I'm not going to let anything stand in our way.
And he kind of has a comment like, I don't think it mattered if it was right or wrong. It was the fact that we got to choose it. Like, that's what we're all about.
Yeah, I think he says Sid was always, I think
always about
Sid
having
didn't
an
care
option.
if it was the right choice.
Yeah, right. Which is kind of funny. They're kind of like...
that they had a choice.
Yes, that's what they're fighting for, is to have a choice.
And then that's when Jill says she misses.
This is what we were talking about earlier.
And that's what we were getting at. And we're like, yeah, but you
wait, it wasn't
like
that long. And it's been 5 years now.
Yeah, and
but she is still kind of like, I miss him,
right?
Right? Yes, he's like, that's what we're fighting for. A world where we can live, not just die, like, as equals. And he's like, that's why I took on his name. So now you have that. It's like, okay, yeah, he just took on Sid's name to keep that dream alive. Like, okay.
Right.
Makes sense. One thing answered.
Yeah, one thing. Still are like, all right, well, still, how did we survive? Where's Joshua? We haven't said a word about it.
Yep. Shows the hideaway, and like you said, yeah, it's like an airship. Basically kind of looks like one. Even if you hadn't, like, read that yet, you probably figured it out. It looks like an airship stuck in, like, the lake.
Yeah.
And you finally now get control of Clive.
Yeah. And then the ferryman, whatever, that was taking the boat, he basically just says, go talk to Otto. Otto, he'll want to know what happened with it, whatever. So I think that's, though, a good spot as any to stop.
I think so, too.
So we're pushing kind of far in here, and then I thought
and
we got a couple tangents.
I feel like this, just playing the game-wise, a lot of people probably, this is where you probably just do take a break, because so much just happened.
So much happened, you were playing for so long
that if you're anything like me, you like literally just had to be like, so much happened, I have to like just let this like marinate and sit and process.
Let that marinate.
Let that marinate, yeah. Like we said at the beginning, a lot happens.
Yeah.
Some big story
really
dump,
awesome stuff and
amazing scenes.
My least favorite part of the whole game, though,
which is
the time.
Yeah, isn't it?
It's just the fact that it's the time jump. It just doesn't
really
make sense to me that 5 years passed.
But how much crazy good happens in here. There's also, they sneak this in that you're like, this is literally one of the biggest parts. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I can get over right now, like, not explaining how we survived a little bit and kind of like glossing over, okay, yeah, we don't need to see us rebuilding the whole hideaway. It would have been nice, though, to see a little bit of Clive getting back and realizing it's destroyed and how he met up with them and
decided on this
to where to go
area,
right, and like explaining to them that they're going to keep going and that everybody is going to follow
explaining
Clive
how
as
Sid,
the new Sid.
how Clive became the new Sid.
I get it because we had like an hour of scenes, but like in some way it would have been nice to break this up. Like,
you could have save in the middle of it at some point. You could have
added a place like after we got out of there. I don't know.
Explain how we got out of there, where Joshua is.
Yeah, that whole aspect though, but just being 5 years later of this, that's like, it bugs me. And really though, honest, like, obviously we've beaten it. I've gone through it. This is definitely my least favorite part about it, and that's, I still love it. Like,
and that's,
you know, if that's the only thing I can complain about throughout the whole game is that there's just one part of the story that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
And it really it gets like better as you go. Like they do explain a lot, and a lot again. The active time lore, the tomes, and you know you can read a lot. You can fill in a lot of side quests and talking to people. A lot of stuff does get filled in if you kind of look for it. Yeah. But agreed, this is one of the most jarring spots. One of the most like I don't know if I agree with it spots, but at the same time one of the most jaw-dropping. This is that Final Fantasy moment where you go from like, oh, we're just going to like do okay, no, now we have to save the world, like kind of thing. Like now we know we went from a revenge story, I'm gonna kill who killed my brother, to wait, that was me. What do we do now? To like, okay, we're gonna save people. Okay, we're gonna save like destroy the crystal, save the world. To like, oh, that's the villain. Like, now we know.
You're who's been in my head this whole time. You're the one who caused it. You're the one who caused the whole Phoenix Gate. You're the one who's caused everything. And don't know what you want.
To what end? Right. Like we don't
why.
Know what's
we don't
going
know any
on.
of that. How somehow Joshua has survived too.
Yes.
Or did he survive now after he absorbed Ultima?
Did Clive kill him? Did he not? He's alive? Like what?
Yeah.
So
good. Anyways,
we have more to talk about in the next episode.
Yes. I think next one we are going to learn about some of Jill's past.
Yes.
And go to some place where she was taken.
Fill in a little bit of the gaps from the 5 years, but going forward, you learn a lot more about Jill.
I would call it Jill's episode probably.
Exactly. Yep.
Her arc.
Phoenix
Gate was more focused on Clive growing as a character, and I think this next part will be Jill growing as a character.
So
all right, we got some homework to do for the next episode. That's for sure.
We'll try to get it out
been like
sooner.
4 months since I think I played it.
I'm a little less busy now, so we're gonna try our best to get more episodes out sooner.
And we said that last time.
We did.
I think this one will be out still faster than the last.
Last one. Big gap in there.
Yeah. So subscribe to us. You can follow us. I just created a Twitter or X or Key, however you want to say it.
Oh yeah.
Keyblade account. It's at a Super Frank Pod. Apparently, I can't have. Podcast was too long then.
Really?
So I had to do it a Super Frank Pod, all one word. Find us on Twitter. I will be trying to put out some things here and there, maybe some 16 related things. Reposting some things I find, or also I just did one of showing that we were recording. I might show a couple of things working on it, and here's a part of the next episode.
Some little updates or something. Yeah,
just another way because we're very sporadic with our stuff, so it might be a little bit way of
still figuring it out.
Yeah,
but another way to keep you updated. Another platform to find us on, which is good. Another way to comment and chat with us. Love to chat. Yes, let us know any comments or what you're thinking of, how your thoughts were of 16. I don't want to hear it if you don't like it. I'm just kidding. Only nice things, right? Yeah. But let us know your thoughts playing through this part, or if you haven't played, go play it. Super Frank, the 5-year time jump sucked. Yep, our Super Frank take on the 5-year jump. It's a little iffy. Not like it. The rest of the game, absolutely love it. But Super Frank take on Ultima, awesome. Yeah. Also, congratulations, Ben Starr. Fantastic performance. Deserved the award. Also, the audio won an award as well for best audio. Very deserving. We talked about the music. Absolutely. We talked earlier exactly what audio that all meant. If that just meant music or sound effects, everything. Either way, all of it's fantastic. Music's awesome. But anyhow, I think that's enough from us for this episode. It's. I thought we were going to be shorter, but we'll get there. We'll get there sometime. Like, subscribe, follow, and we'll see you next time. And then watch our other episodes. Yeah. See you soon.
Listen to my story.
It all begins here.
I know. This is a one-time gig.